Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the third and final test between New Zealand and France. At the moment, the Kiwis sit 2-0 up, but this French side looks like a good mix of the first two test matches with a lot of young talent coming up through the rankings. A few experienced guys back in the back line too, whereas for New Zealand, they have made drastic changes compared to the last test match. Also, that late injury change, no Rieko Ioane out on the left wing for the Kiwis. It does bring Severis from the right to the left. It does bring Will Jordan into the starting side as he was going to be making his way off of the bench. And then Geordie Barrett at number 23. So it is not for the first time in a long time that we haven't had a Barrett in the number 23 or anywhere across that 23 side. For a matchup, looking through at the starting lineup, like I mentioned, the late changes when it came to the wings. Ethan de Groot, Samisoni Taukei'aho and Tyrell Lomax will be the front row. So two changes compared to what we saw in the last test match. De Groot stays in that number 1 jersey. Taukei'aho comes in for Cody Taylor. And then Tyrell Lomax is coming back from his injury. He will slot in as a number 3. Patrick Tuipulotu and Fabian Holland, a duo last week that did have quite a bit of success. Holland making 31 tackles so far throughout his international career, and he has yet to miss one. So, if he continues at that rate, I feel like he's already got that number 5 jersey secured for the Rugby Championship. He offers something different. He's got that youthful nature to him where he just goes out there, puts the heart and soul into the jersey, and hopefully he has a big game. And at this contest, Usama Penifina will slot in at number 6. That is due to the HIA failure of Tupavai, who was on a bit of a scoring spree. He scored both games up against France. Artie Savia at number 7, and then Luke Jacobson back for his first game since the Super Rugby final, and that is going to be rather than Christian Leo Willie, who overall had a pretty decent game last week. He had 2 turnovers, won the most out of any player, but he does rest here. Luke Jacobson makes his way in. Cortez Ratama there as the number 9 with Damien McKenzie at 10. So 2 changes in the 19 combo for the All Blacks here. Quinn Tupaea and Anton Lienert-Brown take over the midfield. So it is a Chiefs 4 in terms of that 9 to 13 jersey. Rieko Ioane no longer out on the left wing. Severis moves to that side. Out on the right wing, this is where we see Will Jordan move into the starting lineup, and Ruben Love, he gets his first opportunity of 2025 in that number 15 jersey. For the French, quite a few changes across their lineup too. Bourgaret moves into the starting lineup at 2 with Slimani coming back as the number 3. He did play in the first contest up against New Zealand. Arodo comes in at 4, and then Brennan, who was playing 4 last week, moves to number 7. But the return of Fisher and Gilliard in that loose forward trio, that is a massive bonus for the French. Between those two men, they had 5 turnovers, 1 in test match number 1 down in Dunedin. So you just wonder whether or not having those couple more jackling options could bode very well for the French. At FMG in the back line, Legatic keeps his spot at 9 with Hastoy moving in at 10 rather than Serrans. Fiku returns in the midfield alongside Deportier, so adding quite a bit of experience in that department. Gavin Villiers out on one wing. Theo Adesogbi stays on the right, and Leo Karei as number 15. But with that being said, we have a look through at the chat. We have got what's up from Stephen Henry Rose. Welcome in. And New Zealand Riot has said, so France have a sort of bomb squad tactic planned, I heard on the radio, with 6 forwards, 2 backs named on the bench. And let's see how the brute force approach goes for them. The thing is, though, they have already used the 6-2 in this series. So I wouldn't say it's anything too new for them. I do like the look of having Pierre Boucheton as the number 21, though, because he made 17 tackles last week, and a lot of them were physical. So he's the type of guy that you want fresh later on in a contest. They've got Galetron this time off the bench as one of the 2 back replacements. So, I think it could be quite intriguing to see how this match closes out, because some would still argue with what we've seen from New Zealand in their second 40 minutes compared to the first 40, I believe they have still outscored themselves every first half compared to the second. So, France have actually done pretty well in the last 40 when they seem to find a bit more of a rhythm, and that could just be down to the amount of changes across their lineup that they are making week in, week out. Kia ora, Hamish, there's Matthew, welcome in. And also we have got there, Kia ora, Robert, as well. And AB's all the way says Tyrone, and good morning. When does the game start, says Bro, and it will be starting in about an hour, which sounds like a long time, like I said, but yeah, we've got a lot to talk about heading into this match, and it is also the last time that we see the All Blacks in action up until about mid-August for the start of the Rugby Championship. So we've got quite a bit of time till we see this All Black side in action once more. We will get to see their side named for the Rugby Championship, which we will go into just a little bit later on about the ins and outs of the injuries across this All Black side. We have got All Blacks all the way, says Rusty, and he is going for 30-12 as the score prediction. Morning, guys. Hope everyone has a great weekend, says Anthony. And there is, of course, plenty of rugby that is going to be taking place. And good morning from, it is Burka. I can't quite say it. I know there's a click in there, but I still can't quite get it. But one day we'll be able to when it's kickoff, about an hour's time till that one gets underway. Hamish, how did Papa Lee got there, mate? Says Daniel. He got there due to injuries. We've seen Wallace Satiti go down with an injury. We have seen Tupavai out with an HIA, and the other options, the likes of a Peter Lakai, he was unavailable due to injury. Blackadder, he was unavailable due to injury. And then, so you kind of get to the stage how, like, theoretically, it's probably Satutu or Papali'i as the next in line. And because Papali'i's been in that environment recently, that is why he is there. But yeah, it'll be intriguing to see if he gets selected in the Rugby Championship. He will have to have a strong performance off the bench here, playing as the number 19, rather than in the starting side. Good morning. Seems to me in Europe, you hardly sleep at times. Says Petrus, yeah, the sleep schedule is completely broken. We will be up for another probably about 17 hours or so with the amount of rugby taking place overnight. And we have got there, did you see that French journalist, summation of Hamilton as a city? I didn't, to be honest. I know that France decided not to stay in Hamilton, and I know that a women's side in the World Cup did the same thing because they said that they got too bored, which is pretty brutal, but I don't know if that's the case for the French as well, or whether they just decided it was easier to stay where they were initially. It's going to be an awesome game. Hope it's free-flowing game, says Matthew. And also, what is going to happen if France sends the A-team? Well, we don't know, do we? Because they didn't. So, unfortunately, there is no way of knowing. I think if they had sent all of the top players, New Zealand would have had quite a challenge in that first test, even more of a challenge than they already had. But, like I said, we don't know that because, sadly, it didn't happen. I don't think, like, that's the thing. As the series has gone on, I think a lot more people have started to, I guess, still, like, understand a little bit more why the players who were sent. Because at the end of the day, the top 14, it is a brutal competition. They're showing Joey Wheeler. He's up on someone's shoulders in the build-up of this contest. And good arvo, Hamish. Says Peter Stowers, and also go the All Blacks from Bell Block, New Plymouth. And we got to get someone who's got that physical mongrel and bloodthirst for a blindside flanker. Says Tanner too. So I guess the big question for yourself, Tanner, who is that would be in that role? Because honestly, Tupavai in his last two matches has looked pretty handy in that number 6 jersey, and he adds that little bit of extra height for the lineouts. So, yeah, some people have said about Summer Penny-Finau that he doesn't quite have that killer instinct as of yet. Like, he'll put in a big hit every once in a while, but it's whether or not he can consistently do it. And who's out due to injury, says Katzenel. So Rico Ioane, he is out due to the late injury of his hamstring. It was tight after the Thursday training, so he ends up, well, in fact, sorry, it was after Friday's training, I believe. So he goes out of the side. Sever Reece moves from the right wing to the left wing, and then we also see Will Jordan move into 14, and then Geordie Barrett will be making his way off the bench. Weather seems good for this match. No noticeable wind in Hamilton, says NZ Riot. And hi, says Paul, and also good afternoon, says Peter. Welcome in. Let's go the AB, says Amos. And there too. Okay, they've got there who has to prove the most tonight. And at the moment, Ruben Love is leading with 36%. Damian McKenzie's in second with 30%. So those two in the 9 and 10, or sorry, the 10 and 15 combo for the All Blacks. It is thoroughly important that they get that ball out early. Because the thing is, it's a dangerous backline. Any debuts to be on the lookout for? Not particularly. I mean, Brodie McAllister will be making his way off the bench. And maybe it's a bit harsh to say not particularly, but I don't see him getting a huge amount of minutes throughout this year, unfortunately, unless, of course, Taukiaho does go down with a bit of an injury. But Brodie McAllister, he's there as the number 16 in this contest. We've already seen the debut of Duplessis Karefi a little bit earlier on in the season. We've seen Will Jordan, of course, in action multiple times. He is now in the starting lineup. Timothy Tavatavanawa, he got his debut last week. And then Ruben Love also got his last year, but he managed to get 2 tries out on the right wing for that debut for the ABs there. But we are currently only 55 minutes away. There we go. Just like that, 5 minutes have passed when we were just talking through about these sides, but these are the benches for anyone who is unaware who will be making their way on. Brodie McAllister for his international debut as the number 16. George Bower at 17 and Fletcher Null signing in as the number 18. Dalton Papali'i alongside Duplessis Karefi. So actually a lot of sevens in this side for the All Blacks if you consider the fact that Ardie Savia is the starting 7. Luke Jacobson throughout Super Rugby Pacific did play a bit of 7 for the Chiefs too. So, there's about 3 injury covers for the 7 in this department. Not a lot of lock cover other than Samipeni Finau. So as long as he is not one who goes down with some sort of injury, I think Papali'i will be the man who moves to 6 though, if that was to happen. They've got Karefi who really wants to prove himself, but being in that same position as Ardie Savia, it's always going to be tough to get yourself starting minutes. Noah Hotham as the 21, big chance for him. No Cam Roigard in this matchup. And then at the Mofi, Tava Nawai is there as the number 22. For the French, like I mentioned, Boucheton, one to keep an eye on. Same with Tisharow, who is as the number 20. Taufafanua at 19. So no Cameron Waki. That is due to the injury that he did end up having when he kneed Tupavai in the head. Paul Mallet off the bench with Demba Bamba as the number 18. And Barlow, a tackling machine, he is there as the number 16. But New Zealand, when it comes to the lineouts, we saw a little bit more competitiveness in that regard last week compared to the week prior. We saw them get, I believe it was 2 or 3 lineout steals. And Samipeni is only 193. Is he tall enough as a lock though? Well, that's the thing. He will have to do, I think is the best way of describing it, because they didn't go with Naitoa Akoi. And I believe the reason they didn't go with Naitoa Akoi was because he wasn't in the initial starting squad, I guess you could say. He was never named as the exact replacement for Scott Barrett, but Akoi's only 3 centimetres taller than Samipeni Finau. So, it would have been nice to see him get that debut. Definitely because you'd assume that they will need an extra lock heading into the Rugby Championship. And it makes you wonder, maybe Scott Barrett's injury isn't as bad as first initially anticipated. We have got there, what's the best top 14, or what's the best top 14 of Super Rugby? Be honest, I think it depends on what you like. Because if you like that kind of more, I guess, the thing is, it is more passion-fueled in the top 14. If you look at the crowds, whether it's home or away, the crowd are right into it every single step of the way. There is a different style of rugby than Super Rugby, but Super Rugby is extremely fast-paced and can be entertaining week in, week out. We saw that throughout this year of Super Rugby Pacific. And good morning from South Africa, says Gerard. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. And Finau has plenty to prove, says Riley. And also, we have there the journalist said Hamilton gives off a former Soviet Union vibe. Says freshman. I haven't been, so I couldn't tell you whether or not that's true. We have got there Mr. All in and said massive. And also morning/evening, Hamish. There's a massive summer storm out today. Says Lesham. Well, hopefully you are going to be safe in that regard. And what's more challenging, tackling Tava Nawai or being Andoltra at the Coldplay concert? Well, we saw about 3 or 4 Frenchmen tackle Tava Nawai last week. But we haven't seen how hard that man got tackled by his wife as of yet. So we'll have to wait to see the comparison there. Eluz Lenore says Adar there. And also, in other languages, names can sound very funny because they sound like funny words in other languages. Says Albert. Well, there you go. And I reckon Samipeni Finau is taller than 193. Seen him in person, and definitely taller than Norris, who's 195. Says Riley there. And also we have got from Jaden, hey my man, I'm really excited to see this new look side. If there is no change, there is no change. Team effort, boys, let's send the French back home rethinking their international model. But that's the thing. France coming into this third test match, they have said they want this one. And the thing as well is they've given away the series from those first 2 matches, but they can still go home pretty happy because if they were able to win this game, we've got the World Rankings calculator here, and it's actually a massive jump that the French can make if they were victorious. If they somehow, which I know is absolutely crazy to say, but if they somehow won this game by 16, they would actually move up to number 2 in the world. But just a win for the French would pop them up only 0.1 point behind Ireland. 0.01. So very close with the Irish. If they were to win this game by the 16 points, New Zealand would drop to 4th and France would gain up to number 1. Whereas if New Zealand were able to win this game by a comfortable margin, they will still be in 2nd, and that will create a bit more of a gap between them and the Irish. So theoretically the rankings can move, but more than likely we're going to see either one side boost up a little bit or one side get quite a nice handy lift up in the standings. We have got Tupavai, is amazing and on the edge of being world class, but he doesn't exactly have the bloodthirst and physical toughness of Jerome Kaino. But that's the thing, in nowadays rugby, I do think, yes, it's important to have that physical toughness, but at the same time, I think it is tricky because New Zealand have adapted a little bit in the way that they've played their rugby. And yes, it's great to have those physical guys out there. There's no denying that. But, Vai could be the future of that number 6 jersey, and I actually think he would play that role pretty well. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Seeing there that the Barretts were trying to commentate. Oh, they were trying to commentate in Māori, I believe, for a midweek thingy. No Barretts initially named in the starting lineup, of course, and no Barretts off the bench up until we did see Geordie Barrett added in due to the late injury of Rieko Ioane. Do you think we will see the return of Geordie at fullback in the second half? I actually don't really know. To be honest, I'm not sure what their plan will be with Geordie Barrett because initially he wasn't going to be there. And I actually thought the easiest thing to do would have been to chuck Moni Narawa in the starting lineup out on the right wing, move Sevu Reece to the left, and then leave the bench the same way that it was. But I'm not sure what the thinking is. Geordie Barrett, I assume, for that experience, as well as, I guess, a backup kicking option for the New Zealanders might be the reasoning, although Ruben Love also can handle the kicking tee if needed. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they use him. Ideally, I would think you don't really want Geordie Barrett getting too heavily involved throughout this matchup. Maybe the last 10 to 15 minutes. He took a pretty nasty knock on the nose in the last test match, which is actually why I thought that he would be left out of this matchup. And let's go the Mighty All Blacks, says Steve there. It seems Razor wants experienced wingers to set Love up to succeed. Says Riley Freeman. Yeah, although the thing is, though, throughout the Rugby Championship, there is a chance we won't see a lot of experience on those wings because Caleb Clark is out at the moment with the injury. We see, Sevu Reece should be there theoretically as long as no other head knocks do happen or any injuries in this contest. And I think hit hard in the first, AB's pack will need to step it to another game. We have got a new member on the channel with J-League 11. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. Rugby World Cup 2027 is going to be great. AB's building nice things nicely. South Africa look great. France will be a force. England getting stronger, and Ireland will have their last stand, says Christian. It's going to be a great World Cup, I hope. And the thing is, it's a different format to what we have seen in the past. So I'm intrigued to see how that goes. I know that it has been extended to the 24 teams, but we're going to have 6 groups. So I actually do need to do some research about how the groups will work because it is slightly more confusing than we have seen in the past. We have got there, I reckon Geordie will slot to fullback and Love will move to first 5. Says Riley there. Yeah. Although maybe the thing is as well, they might actually look at taking Leonard Brown off earlier. Yes, he's been cleared, but the last thing that you want is another injury in a position where you don't have a huge amount of players available at this current point in time. So I actually could see them doing that. Maybe Geordie Barrett goes to 12, Quinton Pye moves to 13, just to see if that is a viable option for the Rugby Championship too. All Blacks says Monty. Not going to lie, not really a fan of Reece. Always had superb Super Rugby seasons and just doesn't show up for the All Blacks. Says Riley. You see, Sevu Reece is an interesting one because, like you said, he has a very good record in Super Rugby. And honestly, at international level, he doesn't actually have the worst, kind of scoring rate out of players around the world, but I think that people are used to seeing someone do a little bit more, which sounds very harsh, like I said, because at the end of the day, like we've also mentioned, he is the top try scorer in Super Rugby, but international-wise, he's got all the talent and all the ability to do well, but then the thing is, I don't think we're going to see Moni Narawa get too many chances up until Reece does end up maybe either retiring or stepping away from the All Blacks, because that number 14 jersey, I believe it is at the moment between Reece and Will Jordan. They don't seem to like Narawa in there. We have got the I don't like Reece. That has the pace of a pig. Says short videos. Pigs are pretty quick though. Have you seen a pig run? They get some speed going for the shape of them. And good morning all the way from South Africa. Go the All Blacks. Says Raymond there. Greatly appreciated you being here for this contest, mate. Looking through at what has happened in the first 2 test matches between these two sides. New Zealand able to get the victory down in Dunedin, 31 points to 27. That game was a lot closer than many anticipated. The second match honestly went about how people thought the first match would go, 43 points to 17. This third match, France come in as almost the biggest underdog that they have been, which is surprising. I would have actually probably had France, honestly, with their best chance in this third test match because of all of the changes New Zealand have decided to make. But we see Simisoni Taukei'aho just making his way out of the tunnel, getting ready to do some training before the match gets underway. Big opportunity for him in front of an FMG crowd for this matchup. I believe 7 Chiefs across the starting lineup, that being Taukei'aho, Finau, Jacobson, Ratama, McKenzie, Tupai, and Leonard Brown. And it's probably the most Chiefs we've seen in a starting AB side in quite some time, I'd have to think as well. But looking through also at what is to come in November for these two sides, of course, the Rugby World Cup rankings are on the line as we head towards their Rugby World Cup draw. But France, they will have their first match up against the Springboks. That will be in France, so a big points gainer there for South Africa. If they can get the big victory, France versus Fiji, and then also taking on the Australians, who have their first match of the British and Irish Lions tour. And it's going to be happening about 4 hours' time from this moment. Looking through at New Zealand's November International. Of course, they have also got the Rugby Championship beforehand, where they have 6 matches, but they will be playing up against the Irish, Scotland, England, and also Wales for those matches. And when we get to that Rugby World Cup draw, 1 loss in November for any of these top sides can drastically change the draw that you end up with. So what I think we'll end up doing is before November, we'll look at where everyone was standing, and in that regard, who they would have been playing in the Rugby World Cup, and see how drastically that changes after November does take place. We have our starting position is potentially on the line for Ratama tonight. Hotham is right behind him. Well, that's the thing. I actually think Cortez Ratama has looked a lot better in an All Blacks jersey in the starting lineup than he has off the bench. But the problem that they've got is there's a man by the name of Cam Roigard, who currently a lot of people are locking in as their starting 9 for the whole of the Rugby Championship. We have there Caleb Clark shouldn't be selected in the All Blacks anyway as a role model for youngsters, then running from the Bleus on the motorcycle through town. I wouldn't have seen any of us let off scot-free. Says Steve Lamb. Yeah, it certainly wasn't a good look for Caleb Clark. It also isn't the worst thing we've seen an All Black do, though, so that has to be kept in mind as well. But, you know, the benefit that he's got now is he can go out there and prove that it was a one-off and he just made a mistake, because, I mean, you see guys get cancelled all the time nowadays, and some things that they get cancelled for, it is justified. But, you know, he's young, he was stupid, he said I was dumb, and he sold the motorcycle, and now he's going to try and prove that he should still be in the All Blacks, and he's going to try and prove that he should be looked up to by the youngsters as well. But yeah, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks at the moment, which is a bit of a shame in that regard, as I do think he was in for a big year for the All Blacks had he not picked up that injury. We have got All Blacks extending their Eden Park winning streak tonight, says username. And also we have got their Hawaiian that do they unveil the draw this early. The thing is though, right, it's still early, but it was even earlier for the last World Cup. I believe they did it about 2.5 years before the World Cup, and then looking at who would have been where, it actually made massive differences to the draw. So I honestly think, unless it's to try and sell the tickets early, is the only thing I can think of, because honestly, I would say do it at the end of 2026, because the World Cup doesn't happen after that for another, probably 7 months or something like that. So, yeah, I still think it's a bit early. And I wish they'd do it just that little bit later as well. And Awesome says Reflecting Trees. And also All Blacks touring the North, playing 4 and back-to-back is crazy. Says Mr. Black Rugby. And also we have got there, why does it have to be decided now? Can't they wait until, say, 6 months out? So here's the Sphinx there. And also good day, Hamish, ready for a long rugby day ahead. Yeah, there is certainly plenty of rugby, Victor, coming up in the future. Of course, that under-20s match between South Africa and New Zealand going to be an outstanding one, back and forth. It honestly has potential to be a match of the weekend. So anyone who is willing to get up early, 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time is when that one is starting, or 8:30 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. It could have fireworks for that contest. And we have got there, how does Clark get in? There's better than him around. So who would you say is the better than him at the moment, Mark? Because I know that quite a few people looked at Leroy Carter as an option on that left wing side. Although I do also think that the little bit of what have you done before this year did come into it for Caleb Clark. Because we've got to remember, he was in the team of the year last season for the All Blacks with some absolutely insane stats. He was in team of the season for the Bleus with what he was able to do on the left wing. So, if you look back at a little bit further than a bit of a shaky season this year, he has proven himself in the black jersey before. But now, of course, injured, we're not going to get to see him prove that till maybe the November International. I agree, that's going to be a good game, says Vic. And 6 Satiti, 7 Savia, and 8 Christian Leo Willie. Back row will be tasty in the Rugby World Cup. That's the thing, Leo Willie, when you think about it, right, he could be the next, it sounds weird to say, but he could be the next Wallace Satiti in the regard of Wallace Satiti was not given a chance up until we saw the injury. So, I think Leo Willie, we got to remember, he was initially just injury cover for Luke Jacobson. So let's say no one else got injured. Let's say that Wallace Satiti didn't go out with that injury. We might not have seen Leo Willie. He maybe would have still trained with the squad, and maybe we'd see him added in for this game, but possibly just off the bench. His whole career now for the All Blacks has progressed because of a player injury, which is the same thing that happened for Wallace Satiti. And it just shows sometimes when you give those young guys the chance, that's all you got to do to really ignite that fire and let them show off what they are able to do. It's great to see a lot of future players up and comers getting a chance tonight, says Johnny Mann. And also we have good there who's impressed you from the French team. I think that the loose forward trio is actually going to be one to keep an eye out for in this contest. We have seen Josh Brennan move to number 7, who was one of the busier men out there on the field, even though he got a yellow card in the second test match. But I think that Alexander Fisher in that number 6 jersey, 3 turnovers won in the first match up against New Zealand with about 19 tackles made. Gil Yar, he managed to get himself 2 turnovers, one making a lot of tackles and also scoring the try up against the New Zealanders down in Dunedin. So I think that those 3 in that loose forward trio will be absolutely crucial. Lee Garrick, he will want to have a big game because, of course, Maxime Luku, he will be back in the November Internationals. You've got Antoine Dupont possibly approaching, coming back from the injury. But, you're in that scenario for these young French players here. Someone like an Adesogbi, a Deportier. These guys need a big game here to prove that they should be in that main French squad when all of the other guys do return. So that could be that little bit of extra motivation that some of these French guys do need. And glad you're still going strong. How many years have you been doing this now? I think we're up to about 5 years on the channel. I have no idea how I still have a vocal cord that works. We see Leo Willie warming up in the background for the All Blacks. Of course, not playing in this contest, but just in case he does need to pop in late. And we've got Hamish looking fresh as a new laid egg. And hopefully no serious injuries for the young ones. Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing for New Zealand. Of course, they want to get themselves the victory here. But, you have to make sure that you get out of this game injury-free because the Rugby Championship will be definitely on the line soon. You can't dump on a lad just because he's injured. If you don't say something, serious question. Yeah, we haven't actually seen Caleb Clark play a single minute for the All Blacks this year. So there's no knowing how he would have gone. But if it's anything like last season, he probably would have been extremely strong. But it also, in a way, it's a blessing in disguise for Rieko Ioane up until the fact that now he is injured with a hamstring problem. But it gave Rieko a chance to get some more minutes in that number 11 jersey, which he actually played a lot better in the second game, which we wouldn't have seen had it not been for that Clark injury. So there's a whole heap of weird little things that are happening that are all, good for some players, bad for others. Of course, bad for the guys who are injured. We saw Patrick Tuipulotu back into the All Blacks starting lineup because of the Barrett injury, and he stepped up. So now I feel like they've got a little bit more security behind that locking duo. Definitely because Fabian Holland, he's come onto the scene after being given the chance and just absolutely smashed it at international level. Go the All Blacks, break them, says Esbok. And also we have got there, if you were compartmentalised the current squad, I'd say the camp that Clark, Papali, Sevu are in. As for Razor to disprove, De Groot and Rieko are in that camp, but I think they're safe. Yeah, see, I think that Rieko Ioane's done enough. And I know that people still don't really like him, but I think he's done enough from those first 2 games to show that he will be in the Rugby Championship, and I don't see them getting rid of him. I think also the other names that you've got there, Papa Lee, he might get in because of the Satiti injury, but they might also look at Ethan Blackadder as a straight swap there. And I think we're going to have to do a prediction of the Rugby Championship squad. It's going to be very difficult, though, because the injury list is at the moment a mile long. For the All Blacks, someone like a Peter Lakai, I don't think will be back in time. In the locking duo, are we going to see a Sam Derry return at some point if they consider him straight back into the team? We call the Lions game also. We will be doing the Lions game, yes. And alongside that, we have got the South Africa versus Georgia match, as well as New Zealand versus South Africa in the under-20s. You on 2 cents of the goats? Says Jamie Taylor. Do appreciate you being here, of course. The previews, not many better than Mark from 2 Cents Rugby. Just showing the commentators at the moment. Stephen Donald, he was actually coaching yesterday for the veteran All Black side up against the classic Pacific Islands team. It was a high-scoring game overall. France made 9 changes to the starting XP. That lost to the All Blacks in Wellington is the call there down the bottom. But they needed to make those changes. I feel like those 2 matches, we saw 2 very different French sides. This one is slightly a mix of both. And a Brocada with high youth and enthusiasm, speed against the Frogs. I like what he's done. Another Grant. We need another Grant Batty, says Mark Payne. Yeah, I do think that Leroy Carter was close to making it in. And I do think that the sad reality is, if he was right on the verge of making it, I do think his semi-final and his final probably knocked him out of contention. Nothing against the guy. I thought he had an absolutely incredible Super Rugby season, but in the games where they needed him to step up the most, he did slightly disappear. But I do think the squad was also already selected before then, and obviously they already had Rieko Ioane planned as a left winger alongside Clark. But yeah, I don't think it will be long till we see Leroy Carter in the All Black side. I've watched him all throughout the All Black Sevens days, where he was always one of the most physical and one of the most, dominant players out there on the park. Moved into the Chiefs, had an outstanding first season. He will be playing for Bay of Plenty, I believe, in the Bunnings NPC. So as long as he can stay match fit, maybe only 1 injury away from making his way in. Evening, Hamish, brother. How you doing, mate? You're all cool, says Birdie V. Hope you're doing extremely well, Birdie. And yeah, excited for this match. Only 32 minutes away from the start of this one. I think New Zealand should win. I like Will Jordan. How do you think he'll go? I think he will go well no matter where they play him. He's out on the right wing for this game. But the biggest concern I have is I think he's got a little tiny bit, and I'm not saying it's a big one, but a bit of a knee injury at the moment. So it would be a massive hit to the All Blacks if they risk him in this game, bringing him into the starting lineup to have him go down. For New Zealand, I said this game is about winning, of course, but it's about trying their absolute hardest not to lose anyone to an injury before the Rugby Championship, because there's just not enough time to be able to recover. We're only about 4 weeks away from the Rugby Championship. They have to be on their A game and also match fit. You're going to watch the under-20 final? We certainly are. We are going to be covering it on the channel. It's going to be a great game. The last time that the 2 sides played, we had over 90 points scored, and it was just back and forth rugby, the best of the best, and I think that it's going to be that again. Even though this game's taken place overseas, and it will be a little bit hotter than that match in South Africa was at the time. I just tuned in. Is Satiti playing, or is he still injured? He is still injured for another, I'd say probably a month and a half, maybe 2 months, or it might be a bit quicker. The high ankle injury is 6 to 8 weeks normally, and Satiti's already had maybe 3 of those weeks, so he might be back mid-Rugby Championship, I would say. It wouldn't surprise me if he does get selected in the side, and maybe we see an injury cover player go in. I would not have risked Will Jordan, says Victor. Yeah, I'm a bit confused by it, but I get it as well at the same time. Overall, Amoni Narawa into the starting side just made sense, I thought, out on the right wing. He played there last week. He didn't quite get to have his best stride on attack, but that was just mainly because the ball didn't really go out to him throughout that game. But, yeah, I think that it shows where he is in Scott Robertson's books. He obviously doesn't rank very high if he's going for a guy who he wanted to play predominantly as a fullback. Now I'm playing out on that right wing side. But like someone said, it might also be just to give Ruben Love a little bit more support if it gets a bit tricky. Hi, Hamish. Any plans of physically visiting the World Cup in 2 years, or is your prime focus doing the watch-along for most games? I think I'll be doing the watch-alongs, if I'm being honest. I haven't really looked at the thought of going to those games. maybe I should have, but honestly, like, I have so much fun doing these streams that just seemed like the safe bet to be able to do. And kia ora, bro. Hope you had a good week. Even pumped up tonight, up the AB, says Matt. And yeah, it's a big week, or a big weekend, I guess you could say, of the rugby. We've got these three matches, first of all, between New Zealand and France, Australia and the British and Irish Lions for their first match that has taken place. And then you've also got the match South Africa versus Georgia with a very new look, Springbok side. And then to finish it all off, for us anyway, it will be the under-20s match between New Zealand and South Africa. That's going to be a great game. We have got there a good morning now that your Kiwi Sir goggles dash the Springboks game against Italy. Let's see if the ABs can play to compare a lift from the Talk Up show. Says Juan Pierre Bosch. I assume you're talking about John Kerwin. In that regard, I feel like some French fries. Says Solid, you are not the only one. Chips and fries do go very well. I need the Young Box to win tonight. Says a Victor there. Yeah, I think that is one of those games, though, that no matter who wins, I feel like the opposition is still going to really put in a good showing. And New Zealand, they had to dig deep in their game up against the French in the under-20s. They were down to 13 men. I should enjoy the rugby today, says Yalu, you too. And I'm back in the under-20s to win. Won't be easy to beat the baby Box, though. Yeah, they've been in some insane form throughout this one. Which stadium is this game being held at? It is at FMG Stadium, and with that brings 7 Chiefs in the starting lineup. Of course, not on purpose. And Victor Me too says ball. And also, if possible, a quick rundown of the teams, please. So we will go through them right now, ladies and gents. So for New Zealand, it is Ethan de Groot, Samisoni, Tolkiaho, and Tyrell Lomax as that number 3. So 2 changes compared to what we saw in Test match number 2, with Tolkiaho coming in for Cody Taylor, and then Tyrell Lomax and for Fletcher Null. So they haven't actually given Basilio Tossi a chance in this match. They've got Null off the bench alongside George Bauer, and I assume that is just to have that cohesion of the Crusaders. You could also say, in a way, like Brodie McAllister is also an ex-Crusader guy, so kind of a Crusader front row off the bench. But of course, now McAllister is at the Chiefs. Tui Pelotu and Holland, they will keep their spot in the locking duo. Fabian Holland making 15 tackles in the last game up against France. He has made 100% of his tackles at international level. And then Tui Pelotu coming in last week and just looking like he deserved to be in that number 4 jersey. And I believe up until Scott Barrett returns, that will really be the only option they're looking at for their number 4 lock. Samapeni Finau, he comes in as the number 6. That is rather than the HIA injury of Tupavai. Ardi Savi, the captain, stays at 7. And Luke Jacobson, for his first minutes since Super Rugby Pacific, he will be there slotting in as the number 8. There was also a chance that they looked at him as a 6 option in this game. Went with Leo Willie at 8 and then maybe Samapeni Finau off the bench as the number 19. But they've given Papali'i a chance. So that is where we do see a little bit of a switch. Okay, what if I could talk while drinking, I would have been able to say about 10 extra words there. Cortez Ratama going to Damian McKenzie in that 19 combination. So 2 switches compared to Roygaard and Barrett, who we did see last week. Quintupai and Anton Leonard-Brown into the midfield for both of their first starts of 2025. Rico Ioane is out with a hamstring injury, which brings Sevu Reece to the left wing. Will Jordan from the bench moves into the starting lineup on the right. And Ruben Love there as the number 15. For the French, they have made drastic changes compared to their last match. Bukarek comes in as the starting number 2, which does mean that the captain from the last 2 games, Barlow, will be making his way off the bench. Slimani of Leinster in the number 3 jersey. Arado comes back at 4, moving Josh Brennan from last match into the number 7 jersey, with Halagahu keeping his spot at 5. Fisher and Gilliard, 5 turnovers between the 2 men in the first match up against New Zealand. They could be the keys for Les Bleus. In this contest, Lee Garrick and Hastoi will be the 19 combo, so no Serrans for this match. Fiku in the midfield alongside Portier, with Villiers, Atasogby and Leo Barre as the number 15. There you go, those are the lineups for this one. We've got there, it's going to be the best game of the day, says Victor. Yeah, it certainly has potential to be a match of the whole weekend. Although saying that, Spain versus Canada, pretty close as it did take place just this morning. I think 24-23 in the end for that contest. So perhaps that one's the game to beat at this point in time. Tuning in from Spain and up-and-coming Rugby Nation, go the All Blacks, says James. Yeah, it's been fantastic to see what Spain have done on that 7 circuit throughout the last couple seasons, or even just this last season, really. That was when the massive incline did happen. Big game for the Chiefs and plenty of noise from those cowbells, says Gus. And also, unfortunately, I have to go out now. But I'll catch you all day or all later. Go the All Blacks, says Danielle, and I thought Rico was in it. He is injured. That was the initial starting lineup, but then the switch now of Reece to the left. We saw out on the right Will Jordan, and then at number 23, Geordie Barrett, making his way on, going live now, says Victor, so good luck in that regard. Looking forward to our stream after the under-20. See you later, says Victor. And also going to be a good match, says Mashihu. And there too. I thought there was a bottle of vodka for a second. Long day for you, says one. Yeah, that would be quite the task, I would say, to finish a bottle that big. No Barrett's in the team. There is one Barrett, though, off the bench. Now, Geordie Barrett comes in as the number 23 replacement for Will Jordan, who does move into the starting lineup. If Finau doesn't step up, Blackadder will replace him for the Rugby Championship. I actually slightly disagree. I think that Blackadder for the Rugby Championship might come in as the injury cover of Wallace Satiti, depending on the timeline. Now, of course, if Satiti's only supposed to be out for another 3, 4, 5 weeks, they might look at naming him initially, and perhaps that injury replacement, will still be lurking there, but they will extend the squad a little bit. So there is actually a chance that we see both of them in that Rugby Championship team. And Sever Reece with a rare chance to impress back in Mulu country, says Gus. And also imagine if New Zealand has a bomb squad. They did for one game, and they lost by almost a record margin up against the Springboks. So I don't think they'll be doing that again. How confident are you with your French pronunciation of the new players? About 3 out of 10, to be honest. I have no idea if I'm saying them right. Most of the time, I would say I'm probably not. Guys, do subscribe and like the channel. Amish is a superstar, says Victor. And there as well. And of course, at the end of the day, Vic and Wern are going to be popping on for that under-20s match between New Zealand and South Africa for a post-match review of not just that game, but all of the weekend, along as Tamaiti out. For does anyone know? I don't know exactly how long it is, because it was something to do with his leg, wasn't it? But I would say if Bauer's named in the Rugby Championship squad, which, people have been saying, why do they need Bauer when they've got Tamaiti Williams? But, of course, Tamaiti Williams, he is out with that injury. So I actually think if Bauer's named in that Rugby Championship squad, it means that Tamaiti's out till November or somewhere around there. How long till kickoff? Only around 22 minutes until the start of this contest. We have already been talking for 42 minutes, and honestly, it feels like it hasn't even been that long. It's gone so quickly. You are such a good man, says Johnny Charlton. I do appreciate your kind words. And of course, we are going to be here all throughout the weekend. Anyone who loves themselves a little bit of rugby, we have actually got what is coming up in the rugby world. Now, there is a lot, of course, throughout this weekend, but we're looking a little bit past that in terms of what is around the corner for the world of international rugby. It's going to be a busy time, but not as much as we have seen up until, of course, the Rugby Championship. There we go. This is what is coming up in the world of rugby, ladies and gentlemen. On Tuesday next week, we have got the First Nations and Pacifica XV taking on the British and Irish Lions. A little bit of controversy already starting up with that game. Pete Samu told by the British and Irish Lions he is not allowed to play in that side. Australia versus the British and Irish Lions, that will be taking place in 7 days' time. Then the last test match on the 2nd of August. Moving on to the Rugby Championship. That is in about 28, 29 days. South Africa versus Australia, followed by Argentina versus New Zealand. The Pacific Nations Cup also starting up. That is in 35 days. Canada, USA, and Tonga versus Samoa. Alongside that, the Karei Cup is starting up next week. The Bunnings NPC is starting up in 2 weeks. So there's a lot of rugby. And the Women's World Cup is coming around the corner too. So I'm pretty happy, if I'm being honest. There's so much rugby that is just around the corner. Usyk versus Dubois, that is taking place tonight as well, or tomorrow morning, I should say, New Zealand time. Hope the Chiefs boys don't choke tonight. Says Crimson. I don't think they will, but I do think that France will be a bit more competitive in this game than they were in the second match. We have got there, how can the British and Irish Lions say who are allowed to play? Oh, not for another team? Yeah, it seems like a weird scenario. I don't know the extreme extent of it, but it's something to do with the fact that he has been playing overseas, that they said that he doesn't qualify for that team or something like that. But that was from the Lions, not from the Pacifica team. So much rugby indeed, says amazing product. How's the weather on your side, Mr. Orland? I hope all is good. And also we have got their All Blacks still gelling. Yeah, there will be a lot of adjustment that is made in this game compared to what we saw in the last test match, where New Zealand did show some cohesion because, of course, 2 weeks in a row, certain players were alongside each other. We're only sitting about 20 minutes away from the start of this contest. Why did you start so early? Or else we wouldn't have had time to talk about all that we have. We haven't even got into that rugby championship, which was initially going to be the plan for this live stream. But, we've been going for 45 minutes and we've only really brushed the surface. I might have to do like a midweek or a next week live stream just talking about what is coming up for this All Black side. And France by -25. So here's Mr. Black Rugby, and also, hi, how are you today, says Ollie. I'm excited. 4 matches in a row taking place. It doesn't get much better than that. You go, son. I got a great commentator's voice, says later. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. I see bot fans here, says Jeff J. There will be a lot of Springbok supporters all throughout the evening. Of course, that British and Irish Lions game just around the corner. And then following that, South Africa taking on the Georgians in what will be an intriguing contest with an all uncapped front row, a Cobus Visa shift to the number 8 jersey. They're just having a chat to John Arfoa at the moment, the All Blacks. They are coming in as the heavy favourites. John Arfoa actually playing in that classic All Blacks game only a couple of days ago, so it is great to see him up and moving after that contest. I'm sure there would have been a lot of sore bodies after that game. But I do see that France, they actually said there that they've dropped to $6.50, so slightly closer to the All Blacks in terms of those odds. But the first 2 test matches, 4 points difference between New Zealand and France in test match number 1 down in Dunedin, 31 points to 27. And then New Zealand breaking that Wellington curse, getting the win 43 points to 17 in the second test match. Both sides still just warming up in the background, getting ready to go with less than 20 minutes remaining before the kickoff. We will see the national anthem. We will see the haka. Wait. Oh, hang on. There's a bit of chat going on. Luke Jacobson potentially out with injury. He's holding his rib, talking to Scott Robertson here. This might not be good. Who does that bring in? Christian Leo Willie? Duplessis Karefi with Savia to 8? There are questions that will need to be answered if Jacobson goes down there. But they were just showing him in the warm-up, holding his rib, talking to Scott Robertson. I think that might be not good for Luke Jacobson here. And the thing is, there's no point risking him. They're showing Christian Leo Willie, who has already been warming up with the team. Is he going to get the chance to start in that number 8 jersey now? I'll keep you updated, but that sounds a little unfortunate. And we have got there this game. A game I want to see is All Blacks versus South Africa, says Joseph. Well, you can see it in the under-20s. And that is going to be taking place in only around 12 hours' time. And we have got there looking forward to the Wallabies having a crack versus the Lions. Says Gus, lots of love from South Africa. Says it was there from, right, I hope I don't mess this up, but is it FRANCE Rugby Club? I'll move to Arvis Pass, says Cody. And also we have got there, they're falling like flies now. Luke Jacobson is out, says Kiwi Rob. And yeah, he has stopped the warm-ups at the moment, Luke Jacobson, so I would say he is gone. Leo Willie's still warming up with the team, but is he going to be thrown straight into the starting lineup here? Or is it instead going to be, like I said, maybe Karefi goes to 7 and Adi Savia moves to number 8? Luke Jacobson don't feel too good. Nah, rib or something I think he was doing. Wayne, if you don't settle down, I've seen you in the comment sections trying to stir stuff up, but if you don't settle down, you will just have to be blocked. So just settle down, eh? We have got there Dan Razor innovating the game already. Says, Mr. All in, how the hell are these guys getting injured? I think it might have just been the contact with one of the pads. All right, tackle made there. And we have got there, will they start shift Artie and bring Karefi in? Possibly. I think that's one of the 2 options. In fact, no, I would say they've got 3 options here. But not really. I was going to say the third option would be Papa Lee going to number 7. And then Adi Savia to number 8. It's not what I would do, but it's what Scott Robertson might. Jeez, I flicked that, didn't I? I put on Karefi. Says Niwa there. But yeah, I think that either Karefi to 7 with Savia at 8. We have got there too much speeding off causes injuries, says Wayne in there. Is that from experience, Wayne, I assume, directing from stuff? There are a few murmurs from the New Zealand camp that Luke Jacobson has been scratched the warm-up with a hamstring issue. It looks like Leo Willie might be in. And to buy first try, just a good old-fashioned hard-line run. But that's the other thing. I don't think they want to switch Savia from that 7 jersey, seeing as he started to find some really good momentum in that open side flanker role. So this is where, like, Leo Willie was still warming up with the team. So I would say he's going to be in there. Well done from Japan. You're doing a great job. Says Pelham, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. You being here. We are only 15 minutes away from the start of this contest, but about as late of a scratching as you will see from a starting lineup, ladies and gents. Luke Jacobson does not look like he's going to be playing. in this one. And maybe it's a sneaky tactic Razor is using. I don't think so. It looked like Jacobson was not having fun out there. He was squeezing his rib, and they were even showing it before Razor went over to him. It might be a late change to France on Super Brew. Jacobson is an awesome player, but I have serious concerns. Guys has had too many head knocks. He's had a lot of them throughout his career, unfortunately. That's one thing. He's never going to be fully, he's never going to be out of the All Blacks argument. But at the same time, I just don't know, how many big hits he is away from, unfortunately, stepping away. We have got there when I was 13 ABs. With farmers freezing workers, says Stuart there. And also we've got there, Savia's great, whatever jersey he's in. You can put him at 11, and he'll turn into Julian Savia, says Tanner too. But yeah, intriguing to see what the All Blacks decide to do. I don't believe there's any late changes for this French starting lineup. They have still got that very decent bench, though. The 6-2 split in this matchup. They need you at Sky Sports, bro. Your commentary are mint. Says Niwa, greatly appreciated. And like I said, we've got plenty more coming up all throughout this weekend. Probably another 10 hours or so that we will be doing on the channel, including Australia taking on the British and Irish Lions. It's better if you let us hear the game, says Malcolm. Well, the best thing about that is Sky Sport will have the game available, and you will be able to listen to it on there. Stan Sport also have it. DSTV have it in South Africa. So if you want to hear the actual commentary, unfortunately, you have to pay the money, sadly, because we're not allowed to show it or let you listen to it because of copyright. Put him at 12, and Albima Anonu. Who else is on the pine for the All Blacks, says Gus. So they did have the late change as well off the bench, but that was late change yesterday. We do see no Will Jordan at 23. He has moved into the starting side to replace Sevu Reece, who is replacing Rico Ioane. Timothy Tavatavanawai at 22 with Noah Hotham starting in as the number 21. Duplessis Karefi and Dalton Papali'i, 2 sevens off the bench there for the ABs, even though they've already got plenty of 7 cover. So I would say Papali'i probably looking at either 6 or 8 for this contest. Fletcher Newell, George Bower, and Brodie McAllister for the big debut in front of the FMG crowd. He will get his chance for this matchup. For the French, they have got Barlow, who did extremely well in the first 2 test matches when it came to the tackling as well as the lineouts, pretty secure in test match number 1. Malé and Demba Bamba as the number 18. Tofafanua and Tisha Rowe as 20. Bouchaton, the leading tackler from the last contest, was 17. And there it is, Dalbagna as the 22. Galetron as the number 23. And maybe Papali'i at 8, says Gus. There is a chance, like I mentioned about it in the preview too, that Papali'i, he can play both. In fact, he can actually play across that whole loose forward trio. Yes, he doesn't play the other positions much, but he can still theoretically do it if absolutely pushed into that situation. Morning, bro. Managed to find those Savaloys. Over here almost tastes like a cocktail sausage. It's living the dream. Rugby and food, says Andrew. And Johnny Man, I need a hat-trick from him. And that 22 to score mighty tonight. So you're going with Timothy Tavatavanawai as a potential try-scoring option. The thing is, he scored quite a few throughout the rugby, not the rugby championship, throughout Super Rugby. Have a good call, matey. Dave Gallagher's shield has his name on it as an All Black and defended France. So let's hope the French stay on the field after the match. There's Leighton in there too. And Artie played 12 at Rongo Tai. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Now Ollie Norris coming in as the number 8. Right, they're talking about that last minute change. Leo Willie has 20 on his back, ladies and gentlemen. So I believe Karefi will be 7 and Savia will move to number 8 for this matchup. Massive opportunity here for Duplessis Karefi to get his first start in his All Blacks career. But the captain, Savia, wonder how that's going to change the plans. Once again, already drastic changes across the starting lineup for the All Blacks compared to the last game. But Karefi getting his start. And once again, I will mention it. It comes due to an injury. This is where we have seen the likes of a Wallace Satiti step up and really cement himself as an option. That's where Leo Willie this season, due to the Jacobson injury, did come in and show what he could do. And now actually a Jacobson injury is giving Karefi his first start, but it's a late change for the All Blacks. So we have to wait and see exactly how that ends up going. It looks like the rest of the team is still identical to the initial one announced, with the exception, of course, as Reece out on the left wing, Will Jordan out on the right, and Ruben Love still at number 15. Good on Duplessis. Says, I missed all in, and let's go Karefi, says Rodney. And a massive shuffle as well, says Leighton there. So it was one of the two options. It was either going to be the straight swap of Leo Willie into the starting lineup at 8, but instead they've gone, you know what, Karefi's there, and they're going to give him the chance. Great for Karefi, bringing the energy, says Gus, and when start the game, says Winard. The game is going to be kicking off in around 10 minutes' time. We won't be able to show it due to the licensing, but it is on Sky Sports, Stan Sport, and whatnot, but we will be doing the live play-by-play commentary all throughout the match. And also we have got there, these injuries are a concern now. I'm worried about the Rugby Championship squad. Honestly, we'll see a lot of changes, I would say, in the relatively near future. How many injuries so far? Honestly, the All Blacks injury list at the moment is about maybe 10 to 12 names long. Even in that initial naming of the squad, players like Ofa Toangafasi, Asafo Amua, Peter Lakai, Sam Derry, Stephen Perafeta all left out of the initial naming. Since then, we've seen an injury to Caleb Clark, Scott Barrett, Rico Ioane in this game, although he should be back. Luke Jacobson has picked up another injury here. And then Tamaiti Williams. I want to say that's all of them, but there might be one or two extras that we don't maybe know about. I'm not going to lie, let's go France, says Hayno there. And 7:30pm says BP. This game kicking off at 7:05, so only 9 minutes away. So I would say that the two teams just about to make their way out of the tunnel. Then we will have the national anthems, the haka, and then we're ready to go. There's also that question of who is actually going to lead the haka in this contest. I assume that it would have been answered by the ABs by that point. And Tough for the Boys says reflecting trees. And also we have got there, should I go France on Super Rubes? It is completely up to you. And we have got there, hi mate, Will from Sky Sports Recruitment here. Says Will Brown, welcome in. I don't know whether or not you're serious or not. And Karefi is like the Duracell man. Says Garcia, he seems to have a gas tank that is a mile deep, and he will just keep on going. And that is maybe what the All Blacks need. Why not 7 exactly? What's the extra 5 minutes? Says Gatson L. I think it comes down to the licensing side of things. A little bit in terms of like 7 o'clock is when people normally turn it on, and that's when you've got the national anthems and the haka. And then 7:05 is when the game gets underway. It's a little bit similar to what we saw for the likes of a Super Rugby. We saw it was 9:45 at times, but sometimes it would be a little bit later. Is it a full house? It does look full at this current point of time. Both sides now making their way out of the tunnels, looking through at the starting lineups. This was the initial starting team, ladies and gentlemen, but we have had quite a few changes across the last, I would say, probably 48 hours or even 24 hours for this All Black side. But the front row remains the same. It is Ethan de Groot, Samasoni Taukiaho, and Tyrell Lomax slotting in as the number 3. Patrick Tuipulotu alongside Fabian Holland in the 4 and 5. Tuipulotu having a sensational game last week, and Fabian Holland has got to be on the verge of really breaking out. And I mean, he's already looked very impressive throughout the first 2 matches. Cortez Ratama and Damian McKenzie, they are the 9-10 combo. That does stay the same. Quinn Tupai and Anton Leonard-Brown in the centres. That is identical to what was initially named. But now we look at this loose forward trio and we look at the back 3. For the loose forward trio, due to the late Luke Jacobson injury, looked like some sort of rib problem. He was talking to Scott Robertson before the game, looking extremely uncomfortable. And with that brings the massive switch. Samapeni Finau stays at 6. He was in due to the injury of Tupovai. Adi Savia is no longer 7. He moves to number 8. And Duplessis Karefi, for the first time in his All Blacks career after just 2 games off the bench, will get that starting 7 jersey, I would say, a lot earlier than he was. Anticipating in the back 3, there is no Rico Ioane due to a hamstring injury. Sever Reese moves to the left. Will Jordan off the bench moves to the right. And Ruben Love keeps his spot as the number 15. For France, they are unchanged in terms of what they first initially announced. Fisher and Gilliard in that loose forward trio are going to be a handful. 5 turnovers won for those men throughout the first 2 matches of this series. In fact, actually just in that first match, they weren't even selected for the second. Villiers back in that number 11 jersey with Gal Fiku's experience at 12. Hastoy comes in as the 10. That is rather than the man who did start the first 2 in Segans, Bergeret and Slimani. 2 changes in that French front row come in here as well. But we are just about to have the national anthems, ladies and gentlemen. And all leading the haka, says Crimson there. And let all the injured players take a break. Just put new and fit players. Let them have some game time, says Mashihu. And with the Chiefs dominant All Blacks, if they win, does it mean Super Rugby is better than the URC? No, I don't know how you get to that comparison, seeing as like the French aren't even in the URC, are they? We have got there, couldn't they have picked someone that didn't have meth, says Silly Bear. And also we have got there, damn, I just saw at least 40 empty Powerade bottles on the table, says Mr. Holland. So everyone's been getting the electrolytes in before the contest. They know this one's going to be physical. Like, France are not going to take a backward step in this game, which is exactly what we want to see, you know, a competitive contest for the third match of the series. This is the game that France have said that they are targeting. They are going to go for it. Physicality in the breakdowns, fast pace in the back line. Hello, says Chippy Chips. Hello, welcome in. And hi all the way, Evan Jacobson. Rib injury by the looks of it is what has kind of left him out of this contest. So it does mean that Karei goes to 7, and we see Ardie Savea moving into the number 8 jersey. Jacobson's been ruled out apparently. That is correct, yep. The rumours are true. He will not be playing in this contest. So Christian Leo Willie, he will be making his way off the bench in that number 20 jersey, rather than being initially completely out of the side. You're going to let us see. CCA cannot, due to the licensing on YouTube. Any match footage or audio gets you taken straight down, but we will be doing the play-by-play commentary, letting you know exactly what is happening out there on the field. But yeah, due to YouTube's restrictions, it means that any match footage gets you taken off and banned for 3 months. We have got there, Jacobson got the runs. Says Crimson. I think it was just the rib, though. And we have got there, so looking forward to this. Bring it in and go hard. All Blacks says Tai Nui there, but the New Zealand national anthem being sung. Then we will have the Haka, and then we are underway for this match at FMG Stadium. Everyone wearing their bright yellow boots. In that All Blacks lineup, Tyrell Lomax. This is his first game back from injury in quite some time. Same can be said about Anton Leonard-Brown. So waiting to see how those two men do end up getting on. Fletcher Null, he will be making his way off the bench as the tight head prop replacement alongside George Bauer, a man that a lot of people have been critical of throughout this week. But the thing is, he might be in that rugby championship squad if it is a long-term injury for Tamaiti. And massive changes in the Chiefs lineup. Says August there, game on, says Hammy, and also MG. This should be a close one. And also we have got their best rugby name, TNT. Big Jimmy, please get that guy on, says Leighton. Well, the thing is, Timothy Tavatavanawa, he got a couple chances last week rather than just the one because of that Geordie Barrett HIA that did take place. But Barrett made his way back on the field, and also he has made his way into the bench for this contest. We've got about 3 minutes till the kickoff. Cowbells will be cranking, says Gus. Well, they weren't allowed to ring them in the Super Rugby final, so I'm sure there will be plenty loud and proud in the stands for this contest. No Geordie Barrett. Geordie Barrett is there at 23. No Bowden, no Scott for this matchup, but initially there was going to be no Barretts at all across the side for the first time since the match last year up against the Japanese, but Geordie Barrett came in as that late change and got defended New Zealand, says Blues Nate, and go ABs, says Sakabula. And there as well, but the national anthems have been sung. Galfiku looking focused, fired up. Ruben Love, he looks like he's fired up too. He's gritting his teeth, ready to play from the back here. And it will be Ardie Savea to lead the Haka. No Taylor, no Ioane, no Aaron Smith, of course. Savea also with their number 8 on his back rather than the 7 like it was first going to be. Stan Sports paying itself here. Says Lyle Kruger. We have the score to settle with France, says Alistair. And where can we watch online free? Depends on where you are in the world. NZR Plus do actually have this game for certain locations geographically. So if you are in any of those places, you can actually watch it there. And Kamati says Rodney there too. So the All Blacks are doing the Haka. It is pretty much silent in the stands, which is a bit of a weird feeling, but Taufa Whanua alongside Fiku, he's been an impact player off the bench for the French throughout this series. These French lads play year-round. Not many other countries play the same amount of games they do, says Fleshin. And Stoke for Karefi, says Gus. And there as well, but the Haka has been done. We are now almost ready for the start of this contest, ladies and gents. Do let me know your score predictions in the chat, as well as who you think will score the first try of this contest. It's Ardie, the official captain of the ABs. He's the captain for now. I don't know whether or not he is at the... I don't know whether or not it's a guarantee for the Rugby Championship as of yet, because it depends on what's happening with Scott Barrett. But for now, Savea is the skipper, and Galfiku is class, and he's getting close to the 100 matches for the French. And Ardie, the man, mean Haka, says reflecting trees. And also Viva la Aotearoa, says Hayden in there too. But it will be Angus Gardner, the referee in charge of this matchup. They've got the foul play match official, Damon Murphy. Brett Cronin is the TMO once more. And then Schneider and Anamikawa, the two men on the sidelines. And this ref says hanger it. And also stadium looks sold out. It is indeed. But the All Blacks have played France in 14 cities, but this is their first time meeting in Hamilton, which means theoretically both sides are undefeated here. Not really, but someone will not be undefeated at the end of this game. Go commentary. Been a good watch, says Roger Jones there. And also we hope they're faking a rib injury is the easiest way to get out of a game when you have the runs, says Albert in there. But we have seen players go down due to sickness before though, so, you know, you could have just done that. Replaced by Duplessis Karefi during the warm-up though for Luke Jacobson. Savia moves to 8 and we are just about underway for the third and final test between France and the All Blacks. It is kicked off by the ABs going from left to right and Sevu Reece slaps it back and it is now on the side of New Zealand. Someone messed up the clock. They were counting down. This isn't rugby league. Ardie Savia sitting 45 metres out from the line. Summer Penny now with his first carry. Off to the left-hand side, Damien McKenzie goes to Anton Leonard-Brown. They're currently trying to fix the scoreboard on the coverage as we speak, trying to get it to go the right way around. Now Fee now tackled on the halfway line, receives the ball from McKenzie, who is back in the number 10 jersey. Now Summer Soni Taukiaho goes up to Tupaia, finds Savia on the outside. And I can confirm now, ladies and gentlemen, Sevu Reece has already lasted longer than he did in Test match number 1. Cortez Ratama back now. McKenzie will go high. Reece chasing after this one. And Leonard-Brown unable to take it cleanly. Nicely done by Barret, and Ata Sogby now has the ball for France. What was the late change again? Starting in subs. So we did see Duplessis Karefi move to number 7. Savia went to number 8 due to the injury of Jacobson. And Leo Willie is now the number 20. Back into the pocket, Ligeric goes to Hastoi. It's a decent boot on that one, down to 30 metres out from New Zealand's line. Ruben Love will run it for his first touch, almost burst through, but Fiku finishes it for the tackle. Fabian Holland, first touch for him of this contest. Ratama off to the left-hand side, Leonard-Brown shovels it on to Ruben Love, off to Sevu Reece. A little bit of front foot ball at the moment here for New Zealand. Ethan de Groot, tackled by Halagahu. Good morning, Hamish. Hope you're doing well. Really excited for the first test later on. Says David there. Yeah, British and Irish Lions in action in only a couple hours' time. We will be covering that one as well. Sevu Reece running back infield. Only makes a metre or two. Now, another tackle made. Angus Gardner saying that the player was trapped in for France. Now, Ratama. McKenzie going for a kick in behind. Chasing after this is Quinn Tupaia. Bounce to the ball is steep. And it will be knocked back by Gavin Villiers. Will Jordan trying to put him into touch. Ligeric. Cross to the right-hand side. Finds Halagahu. And good luck, boys. Love from South Africa, says Christine. And there as well now being rolled back by the French Ligeric. Goes long downfield. Taken by Ruben Love again. Looping around was Damien McKenzie. Had a little bit of a slip there. Offloads back to Ruben Love. Can't get through. Galfiku again, and it's a knock-on from Love. And we will get to see the first scrum of the day. Nunut says, Wiramu there. And also, morning, how are you, Hamish? Says, Mohadin, doing very well. Excited for this contest. It's a fast start to the game. First scrum of the day now, around that halfway line. Already seen Fiku probably be involved in about 2 or 3, maybe even 4 tackles just the first 3 minutes. What happened to Jacobson? It was a rib injury by the looks of it. And it was during the warm-up that he ended up, not looking the best. Scott Robertson went over to him, said, what are you doing? And Jacobson said, nah, no good. So it brought the changes. Karefi moved to 7. I don't think he's had a carry as of yet, though. Now, Ligeric. Ready to feed this ball in for the first scrum of the day. Absolutely great game, ABs, for the win. Love from South Africa, says Brett. Okay, Gardner already having to give a warning to the scrum, saying respect the space in between. Anyone watching on Flow Rugby, no commentary, says Jack there. They normally have commentary on Flow, though, don't they, for these matches? I'm not sure whether or not they normally have the No, they have the New Zealand commentary normally, I think. Now, Ligaric, ready to feed the ball in. France with a little bit of a weird setup here in terms of at the back of the scrum. They've got about 2 or 3 mini backlines set. In terms of a player in front, then the player behind, then player in front, player behind. So there's going to be a big attack and run here very soon, but Gilliard goes off to the left-hand side, pops it in behind for Leo Bear, who will run forward. It's driven all but into touch. Knock on from Gavin Villiers right in front of the referee. Oh, and it's going to be the penalty there for the All Blacks instead. They normally do it, Todd, says Jack. And also we have there, I think this will be a very close match, so I predict a draw, says NZ Riot. But now, Karei starting off very well. And this match, and I am anticipating another great game. Love from South Africa, says Penelope. Yeah, I do appreciate you being here for this matchup. Kicked into touch by New Zealand. Of course, later on, New Zealand versus South Africa in the under-20s match. We will be covering that one on the channel too. I watch on Stan, and it's always slightly ahead of Hamish, but pretty good, says Hangarat. And hi, Hamish. And has Ruben got a new tattoo on his neck? Cheers from Vic, says Vernizzle. He did look a little bit different, Ruben Love, so maybe that was what it was for him, but already having a very decent early run. And this contest now passed out wide for France. Sogby trying to cut through. Offload there, but charged down from Ruben Love. Does go into touch, but that was dangerous from France yet again. How are you doing in the England game? Not 100% sure yet. It depends on when we finish the under-20s match. But the England game is also on Rugby Pass. But great offload from Sogby. And All Blacks All Life, says Tahuaroa. Thank you for your commentary. Good evening, says Ian. Welcome in, mate. Now nicely taken by Arado. Looking for the rolling maul here for France on the 22. They have also got themselves the penalty advantage. Halagahu through the middle. I think that ball is coming out the back. Here comes Gilliard. Scored in the first game up against New Zealand. Down into Dunedin. Low tack on him by Duplessis. Karei, who puts in the big shot on Bugaretu. But the ball bounces free. Sogby with the inside ball. Still under the penalty advantage here for Les Bleus. Gilliard, another carry. Karefi makes the low tackle. And they'll go back now for another penalty. First points France, their sucker bullet. It's looking that way if they do want the 3. It is number 4, Patrick Tuipulotu, who has been penalised for dragging that maul down. We have got there. Do we actually get to watch the game, or is it only commentary? It is sadly only commentary because of the licensing. Any match footage or audio would get us taken straight off YouTube with a copyright strike. And we would be banned for 3 months and potentially sued by Sky Sport or Stan Sport or whoever it is who did give the strike. It looks like France are kicking this one for the corner. Now, that's quite the choice from the French, I will be honest. Normally, we are used to seeing 3 points if they're available for France being taken. But they've obviously gone, those first 2 matches were too high scoring. We need more on the ball. Plus, they've got New Zealand in a bit of trouble because they've already given away 1 penalty. France, you're shutting your own gap, says Angus Gardner there. And all good, Hamish. Phone playing up as usual. Keep calling it, brother, says Wiramu. And Karefi's tackling is awesome. Yeah, making a lot of low ones already in this contest. Throwing to the front there for France. And now looking for that rolling maul. Arodo takes it nicely. Now Halagahu has it at the back. Still marching forward. Yeah, well, moving by France. No, that one's going to be, I don't know who's got the ball in the pile of about 10 players there, but I think it's been stopped. So Liga Reg goes short side and snipes and scores the try. France on the board first in test match number 3. But the pressure being created by France, taking on the 3 points, or sorry, not taking on the 3 points, going for the corner instead, and Liga Reg is the man who scores it. His 3rd of his career. The Box have, it must be hitting themselves. They're going to play France. Not going to be fun for them, says Wade. And up the All Blacks from Queensland, Australia, says it was Craig Carter, but the rolling maul, well set early on. Summer Penifino ended up in the middle of it, that the ball was no longer there. I think about 2 people noticed that it came out the side. One of them was De Groot, who had to cover 2 men by himself. The All Blacks B team. Says Richard there, and is Ruben Love starting? He certainly is at number 15. And that kick has gone just over from France, making the score now 7-0. We have got there South Africans love Hamish. She's almost sensible enough to start supporting the box, says Think 20. And come on, All Blacks hit back, says Novmum. The early try going the way of the French. I believe this is actually the same way that the first match started, though. We did see New Zealand concede first in that game. But it's a dangerous start. France, get in there, my son, says yes, Sam. And be right back, Hamish. I need to do bottle O shot, British senior. Says the Blues, kicked off high. Taken well again by the French. Ball's there. Looks like Ligarek, the try scorer, will go away to the left-hand side. Ouch, says Jack. It's nice to see France take on the Chiefs, says Derek. There are only 6 Chiefs in the starting lineup in this contest due to the late injury of Luke Jacobson. Ligarek can downfield again. McKenzie is there. Looking to kick one back himself, looking for a 50-22, but back covering is La Bleus fullback and Barry. And into the 22, Ruben Love. It's time to kick this one downfield, and he will chase after it himself. Just outside the French 22, taken by Hastoy, who has a long boot. Does connect nicely. Oh, that was almost walked into touch by Will Jordan. In fact, it's kicked out on the full by France. Hastoy saying he ran it out. They might have a little quick look at that. It looks like Ratama considered taking it quickly. They will decide against it. We have got there to the All Blacks win the series, says Tunes. They have already won the series 2-0 for now, but it could be either 2-1 or 3-0 at the end of this contest. And also we've got there coming the ABs, pull your socks up and hit back hard. Says Brett there, thrown in by Samasoni Taukiaho and claimed by Holland. Ratama across to McKenzie. Finds Duplessis Karefi. His first run in the number 7 jersey. Will Jordan gets the inside pop pass from Ratama, but pressure in the breakdown coming from the French. Lucy Prop looking for the steal, but Taukiaho digs in and gets the possession back. Now Savia plays half, across to Fabian Holland. Again off to the left, McKenzie to Leonard Brown, trying to bust through, but brilliant low tackle made by Taportier. Sever Reese, pick and go. Gilliard stops him 1 metre from the breakdown. Ratama pops it up to Tui Pilotu for the steal. Bugarit does get told to get out of that one. 25 metres out from the line now for the All Blacks after some pretty quick phases in a row. McKenzie to Leonard Brown, trying to sneak through. Josh Brennan has him covered. Coventry finally arrived on flow, says Jack. Taukiaho. The tackle made. New Zealand losing about maybe 10 metres or so from this attack. McKenzie passes off to Jordan. Skip past to Reese. Tackled well by Adesogby. This French defence doing extremely well at this point in time. De Groot isolated. France trying to get the steal and just losing the footing in the end for Hugo. Arado. Inside ball from Tui Pilotu. Hits Will Jordan high. They might have a look at that one. Tui Pilotu across to Samasoni Taukiaho. There's an advantage for a late shot. So now, looking off to the short side, Will Jordan tries to grub her in behind. Reese chasing after it. And he manages to claim it. Pops it off to Finau with the step. Gives it to Reese. Ratama 10 metres out from the line. Will Jordan jumps on it. Fisher makes the tackle on him. And they'll go back for the initial penalty. France ain't having a physical game so far. He is a brilliant player, Mikel Gilliard. And I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it into that French team for November. And also we have got there, that's better than Auntie Herald, says the David there, and happy Saturday, Hamish, says Christopher. Yeah, I hope you're excited for all the rugby that is taking place. There is plenty of it on today. Reese ready to get into his action early. Now kick towards the corner, New Zealand. Going with the same type of play here as what we saw from the French, and hope the AB's line out is better now. Says Hangarat. Well, I had 90% in the last match and 100% of 20 lineouts won in the first. So it can't be too much better overall in terms of statistically. But now Finau, ready to throw this one in for the All Blacks, taken by Fabian Holland. Savia pops it up to Karefi, fires it in behind. Whose hand did that come off? I think it might have been an All Black. So kick downfield from Hastoy. And now the foot race. McKenzie slides back and gets possession. Ruben Love in the breakdown. He's going to have to be physical as France get 3 men in there. And they manage to get the steal. France on fire in the early stages. Ligarek goes off to Gilliard, who cuts back in and is tackled by Anton Leonard-Brown. Now, Ligarek back across and knocked on by Hastoy. He is disappointed there as they did have numbers on the outside there. And box number 1, AB's number 4, says Robert. I assume you're talking about the world rankings. So for that to happen, France do need to win this game by 16 or more points. I am your French nightmare, says Jean-Marie. I don't normally have too many nightmares about France or dreams in general about the French, to be honest. But it's great work from Mackenzie initially to get back and get that ball, but then the 3-man counter ruck coming from France. And we have got there, that's why he hasn't been picked before, says Silly Bear. Who are we talking about? Oh, the Karei. I don't think it was so much his fault, though. It was the man who tried to touch it rather than letting it go back to Ratama. I don't know who it was, but one of the locks, I think it might have been, tried to catch the ball about a metre behind him and got his arm in the way and stopped the attacking play. With pressure on the inside backs, France will fold, says David. And silly mistakes are costing us, but the French are doing the same, says, was Gideon there. And now it will be the scrum feed for New Zealand. 932 kgs for the pack weight compared to 903 of the French. Already 15 minutes through this contest, still 7-0 for the French. I had a French breakfast this morning, an espresso and a cigar, says, or a cigarette, says Christopher. But now that's gone down at scrum time. Referee says play on. Ratama back to Mackenzie. He will look to clear the lines, but doesn't get it into touch. I'm not sure whether or not that was the initial plan, although I think it was taken back by the ABs. Karei gets back up, looking for the offload. Quinn Tupaia tried to get the steal. That one was forward into the hands of Will Jordan. And it looks like it's going to be play on. Karei ripping it off Will Jordan himself, who wasn't keen for the pass. ABs forward standing in the maul. Going to back fast and good contest. And where's Roygaard? He is not playing in this game. Instead, they have got Ratama and also Hotham off the bench. And let's go to Tupaia, says Katurv. And as well, looks like Cortez Ratama is going to go with a high kick downfield, looking for a bit of territory, but France ready for it. Ligarek kicks it back himself. And now awkward bouncing ball. Gavin Villiers slaps it back infield, and it is still alive, picked up by Ratama. No room down the sideline and gets bundled into touch. AB's going backwards, says Robert Wood. And what a great comeback win by the under-20s versus the Box. I thought our Bockies was going to run away with it in the first 30, says Roger. Yeah, great tackle made by Galfiku. And already we see an injury here for Baptiste. Odosio. Is he all right? I think they said that he was cleaned out in one of the breakdowns, and it looks like maybe his knee. I love the tash, says Mark Williams. It's not quite as serious of a tash as we had last week. I decided to slightly trim it, but it is still slightly tashy. Oh, it was almost a neck roll there from Tui Pilotu. He kind of crunched him. He's probably got a bit lucky there. He did look straight at the ref. But it doesn't seem like it is going to be anything more than just an injury that they are dealing with. What happens if New Zealand win today? What number are they? They will still be number 2, but they will be gaining a little bit more on South Africa, who sit in their number 1 jersey. But I think it's going to come down to who wins their head-to-heads in the Rugby Championship. And we have got there, Roger. All Blacks Power Rules, says Riggy. And I like the way you talk, says Jean-Marie. And I don't understand everything, but sounds great. To appreciate that. Mbabella Stadium. Going to be the host of South Africa versus Georgia. That is the 3rd match on the channel that we will be covering. Alongside that, we've got the British and Irish Lions versus Australia first test match. That is kicking off in only around 2.5 hours' time. And that will be live on the channel as well. But the stoppage is over. France have got themselves the line out 48 metres away from the All Blacks line. Bugaret gets it in. Now, Hastoy. Big run from Gilliard. Tackle low by Karei. Now off to the right-hand side again. Hastoy with a skip past to Ada Sogby. Reese covering but misses the tackle. Tupaia is there alongside Jordan to finish the job, which makes me wonder who is defending way out on this left wing side. Or right wing, in fact, it would be, as we are looking at it from behind. Ligarek is across to, it will be the man who was injured before, but he has knocked that ball on the ground. No one saw. Now, Hastoy going for a little kick in behind. Oh, it's a skidding one. It's a great kick from France. And it will go into touch. A loose head having a bit of a fumble with the ball in the breakdown. We have got there go the All Blacks, says RB Face Baby, and hello Kiwi Lad, says M, welcome in. More importantly, do the French put pineapple on their croissants? I know that there's chocolate croissants, but I don't know whether or not that's actually something that they do in France or whether that's just something that people overseas have decided to do because we like chocolate. Now, Samasoni Tolkiaho thrown into Fabian Holland. Ratama goes across to Savia, who's going to try the chip in behind. Will Jordan chasing, but got bumped. And Bugaret claims it. Poor kick from the skipper. And now France on the attack. Now Gilliard sitting about 15 metres out from the line. And the big clean out on Savia by Alexander Fisher, in fact it was. I chip it in your own 15. Obviously some sort of plan that they thought was going to work, but it certainly did not. Ligarek going back across now by Halagahu as the crowd start to get loud. Seems like France have a huge amount of support in Hamilton. Step in there to Portier. Gets round Holland. Is that his first missed tackle in international rugby? Now Bugaret, short ball. Leonard Brown back up to his feet, wanting the steal, and gives away the penalty for no clear release. This is another chance for France to either add the 3 or go for the corner and go caution to the wind. We have got the injury, says Ashley. No injury just at this stage. Baptiste Edosio, I believe it is. Looked like he had a bit of a knee problem, but he's all right. And France are going to take on the 3 points here. Jeff Wilson not happy with the plan to go for the little chip in behind from Artie Savia. Jeff Wilson not happy at all. He is saying that was an absolutely stupid thing to do from the All Blacks. To be fair, Will Jordan wasn't bumped. It could have happened. Which captain New Zealand today? It is Artie Savia in charge. They usher on Luke Jacobson with his sore rib. And also, chipping you 22 is crazy. Our box do a bomb from there. Never a chip. Says LB. Now Legarek again will be able to line this one up. Currently sitting 20 metres in. 20 minutes into the contest, and the kick has gone over. 10 points to 0, the same scoreline as we saw in the first test. Chip work, and Jordan scores, says John. I think if anything, Savia maybe didn't quite get the distance on it that he was after, because Will Jordan actually overran the kick, but then I also think that was from the contact of Bugaret. Are you commentating lines today? We certainly are. We will be doing that match on the channel. Alongside that, we've got South Africa versus Georgia, and also New Zealand versus South Africa in the under-20s. Oh, look. Leonard Brown giving away a penalty, says I see you, and New Zealand already won the series. Mindset is different, says S-Bok. And never give up, All Blacks, says Face Baby. And Kia ora from Taranaki, still Ranfurly Shield holders. I think another challenge in 1 or 2 weeks, isn't it, for that Ranfurly Shield? I'm curious to see who has it at the end of the Bunnings NPC inside of their 22 at the moment for France. Ligarek. Gonna roll this one back once more. Finish strong, ABs. This is the thing, they've still got 60 minutes in this matchup, although the slight concern I would say for New Zealand is the fact that France have outscored them in the second half of every match, I believe, at this point in time. Ruben Love running straight into Tyrell Lomax. New Zealand have scored less points in the second half than their first half. Now Ratama kicking him behind, a lot of space here. Will Jordan winning the foot race. Ball sits up for him. There is frustration from one of the French players. I don't know whether that was at the ref or whether that was at a teammate, but the first try now for New Zealand in this contest, and who else but Will Jordan to be able to get the try. There is the chip, says John William Vessels. And also we have got their Razor will be under pressure if the ABs lose this, says Eugene. But it is chipped in behind her. In fact, a little bit more juice on that kick from Ratama and pure pace. I think that was Leo Barret actually frustrated at his teammates. He sat there on the goal line with his hands out going, what did you want me to do there, boys? Where was the cover? Now, that's the territory from which to kick for Jordan, not our 22. Says getting in there. And also, did you watch the Fiji game? Which Fiji game are we talking? Is in Fiji-Scotland last week? And what is happening with the under-20s final? It is New Zealand versus South Africa. And that is kicking off at 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time. McKenzie gets the boot over and now makes the score 10 points to 7 for the All Blacks. Listening about 35,000 above Alaska, says Doug. Well, it is greatly appreciated you being in for this contest. It's got to be one of the highest altitudes we've had someone watching from, I would think. And Artie Savia was just foreshadowing, boys, says John William Vessels. And also we have got there, now that is more like it, get another try, and glad the ABs have woken up. Says Sakabula there. Ratama with the try assist, Will Jordan with the try. Now the All Blacks 10 points to 7 after 22 2 minutes. Kicked off by the French. Villiers charging forward and does miss on Damien McKenzie. Savia running it straight at Bugarit and a drop ball from the captain again. Now Ligarek looking for the offload there. Gilliard. Sitting 25 metres out from the line, but that French pressure on the breakdown. Bugarit's had quite the game already throughout the early stages. A nice one, Jordan says, Mischihu there. And also, if you're over the USA, do not land, says David. But now, Ligarek to the left-hand side, still playing under the penalty advantage, or sorry, the knock-on advantage, I should say. A pick and go from Gilliard once more. France 20 metres out. Bugarit, oh, that's an awkward knee landing there for that man. I think his groin could have gotten torn in half there, and he is still down. It's ankle, actually, that has popped out for Bugarit, who tries to get back up to his feet, but does not look good at the moment. Bit of a twist for the big man. But now, pick and go from Arado. Now, back to the left-hand side. Oh, miscommunication there. Astoy drop kick attempted by France, and they get it. So that'll add the extra 3. I don't know what that backline was supposed to be, but Karei ended up pretty much pushing straight into Astoy. Both tried to play first receiver. Astoy said, nah, that shut down the backline. I'll just tap this over for 3. They now take the lead of 6 points. And Artie trying to play like a back would have been cool if he pulled it off, says Solid Shorts. And also Xavier better not being captain. Well, he was captain last week and they won by a big margin. But now, getting ready to kick this one off. Severies chasing after it, slapping it back, winning the kickoff again for New Zealand. Here comes Summer Penifee now, 22 metres out from the line for the ABs, looking to counter-attack once again. McKenzie sneaking almost through, tackled by Brennan. Trying to get that steal in the breakdown where the French jumping in early. De Groot, short ball. Off to Summer Penifee now, good clean out from De Groot as well in the next breakdown. Severies pick and go, looking for the offload, picked up by Tui Pelotu. Now 15 metres out. New Zealand with possession. Anton Leonard-Brown, first game back since his shoulder injury that left him out for a majority of Super Rugby Pacific. Gail Fiku told to get out of it, to which he does decide to get in it. Now backline, Ruben Love with the fend, just couldn't quite get the pass away to Karefi on the outside. Tui Pelotu, 3 metres out from the line. Ratama pops it up to Karefi, drops his head and gets 1 metre out. Reese with the pick and go again. Now Tokyo, he will be hard to stop, but France doing extremely well. Savia pops it up to Finau. He'll be held up, and that is brilliant defence from Le Bleu. 25 minutes in, they just chose the wrong time to try and go over. The French defence was set. And also we have got there, don't worry, AB's got this, says Soa Jr. AB's getting mad now, big carries, says John William, although they would have loved that try. Ruben Love, there was no look to the outside where Karefi, I believe, was 0-on-1 in that regard. And then held up by Finau. And that is great work from Ligarek, who just lies in underneath. Stops that grounding. Finau is so cheeks, says Crimson. It sounds like a fast-paced game. It's very fast-paced between these two sides. We haven't had a huge amount of stoppages throughout this match. In fact, we've probably almost had more stoppages for tries and 3-pointers than we have for anything else. Good work out for the AB's forwards. Just Clark injured. He's got a high ankle injury, out for 6 to 8 weeks from when it was first announced, which I believe was last week. Now, Quintupire, Leonard-Brown to McKenzie. There's starting to be a lot more space in behind. Will Jordan keeps it just in the field of play, but the ball curves away. He almost ends up in the stand. But it will go back for the 22 dropout. Well, Jordan just trying to kick that one downfield. Goes into the in-goal area. Now let's go France. Here's LFG, and the moment is now AB, says Katurv, and once the All Blacks away, or once the All Blacks, always an All Black. And now France have actually managed to retain their own 22 dropout, kicking it in behind to McKenzie, who has got 3 men with him, wide slinging pass, finds Ruben Love. Kick downfield for himself, looking for the 50-22, but Theo Adesogbe is quick and does get back to cover. Now down into the 22, McKenzie covering a lot of ground to line up that one. And now all the time in the world to be able to kick this one into touch. But once again, do France want to take it quickly? No, they don't. And instead it will now be the line out about 60 metres from the All Blacks line for France. Commentary always fire. CSI Junior, much appreciated. And we will be here, of course, for the next match, the British and Irish Lions taking on Australia. That is just around the corner. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more coming all throughout the night. And also throughout the Rugby Championship, we're going to be covering the All Blacks, as well as South Africa, Australia, and the Pumas. But now will be the line-out throw for Buildup. Claimed by New Zealand off the line-out steal. That was Tui Pilotu. Managed to get that one. Now attack and run from Samapini. Oh no, in fact it's Savasuni Takiaho this time. Tui Pilotu. Another big carry next to the breakdown. Ratama goes across to Quinn Tupaia. They've shut him down well throughout the early stages. Now, Fabian Holland pops it in behind to McKenzie. Skip pass out wide. Finds Samapini Finau, who cuts back in around Ligarek. Villiers, one of the steal, can't get it. Seems to be every breakdown at the moment. France have at least one guy in there trying to get their hands on the ball. Trying to either work that steal or perhaps stop New Zealand's quick ball like they had in the first match. Duplessis Karefi trying to hold him up. It's taken by Simasoni Takiaho away to Holland now. 22 metres out. Will Jordan tries to pick and go. Referee says it wasn't a knock on. Now Savia across to Ethan de Groot. Still 22 from the line and 29 minutes through this contest. It has absolutely flown by. Now Ratama up to 8 phases in a row now for New Zealand. Leonard Brown almost through. Turnover in the breakdown coming for Bugaret, although there was no rolling away from Galfiku. And it will be straight out in front of the post here for New Zealand. Hamish with the Rugby Championship. You maybe do a halftime insert with a South African YouTube commentator, says John. I would like to, but if they are also doing commentary, then I assume that they won't want to pop on to ours during halftime because they will be doing their own respective stream. We'll be covering the Six Nations next year as well. We certainly will be. Also the November internationals that are taking place. They are going to be playing up against Fiji, South Africa, and Australia for the French, whereas New Zealand, they have got 4 games. Not up against France, though. They are other Six Nations sides. They will go on head-to-head with. Get in there, All Blacks, says Couture. And France are relying on the All Blacks making mistakes, and they have had quite a few of them throughout the first 30 minutes of this match. Although the last kind of 10 minutes, the All Blacks have looked a lot better. That kick from McKenzie goes over, and that will make the score now after 30 minutes, 13 points to 10. Still plenty of time remaining. And this matchup, but yeah, like I said, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are currently sitting only about 400 away from 67.5. Let's see if we can get there by the end of this matchup. Will South Africa have electricity during the upcoming games? They certainly will. Now, sitting here with 9 minutes remaining. ABs will lead at halftime, says John. However, it's terrible. Cleaning from the side is now legal, says WLK. And now Tui Pilotu. Oh, that one slapped back by Gabin Villiers. Now, France have got themselves the ball again off a kickoff. That has happened more times than not throughout this match, and if it isn't straight from the kickoff, it is the next phase afterwards. Now Brennan driven backwards. Ligarek off to the right-hand side. Duplessis Karefi tackles him. Like I said, it's a fast-paced first half being played here. Offside there. Go on, I want to say it's either against Savia or Tupaia Ligarek, with a penalty advantage, so France can throw absolutely everything into this. I'll go off to the left now. Gilliard still in advantage. Underway, Villiers with a pick and go. Tackled by Lomax as well as Savia Ligarek. Short ball. Almost obstruction there for France on attack. Slowly building and still under the penalty advantage. And onto the ball there. Tupaia rips it away. So we'll go back for the original offside penalty. Lines by 10 says M. And tell me, why do you want to drive over the line when you clearly had 4 players next to you? Clearly wrong and poor decision from the All Blacks. I assume you're talking about that Samapini Finau one there. But yeah, it just seemed like the wrong time to try and attack. Definitely with France being set in their defence. I think they needed maybe 1 or 2 more passes on the outside. Could have found success. Looks like Galfiku has called for another shot at the post. This will get that lead back to 6 points if it does go over from Ligarek. And also we have got there Love Greedy, Hamish. Says Mr. Orlin, I assume you're talking Ruben Love there. Maybe a little bit of goal line fever. for Ruben Love. But that, of course, was about the 10 minutes or so ago. He's done some good things throughout this first half, though, for the All Blacks. And also, France tired of so much winning, says Zhang there. Now lining up this kick will be Legaric once again. I don't think too many French people are watching this channel right now, so only a neutral supporting France. Says Cool Story. Now lining up the strike. And Legaric once again right down the middle, 16 points to 10 in favour of the French. And despite the scoreline, I feel an almost inevitable sense of magic coming from the All Blacks, says Mark Wild, and Patience AB says Couture. What do our current crop of nines like? Or where'd that go? Why do our current crop of nines like kicking the ball away, metres away from our line? Says Thorfinn. Yeah, I think that territory-wise, the tactics were slightly off in that first test match up against France. Second match, it was a little bit better. But I do think so far in this one, giving the ball back to France is just asking for trouble. It looks like Hastoy has received it in the pocket. He'll kick it downfield. Taken now by Damien McKenzie. Has Ruben Love with him. And he will be chasing after it now. McKenzie at FMG makes the tackle as well on Karei. Hope our mistakes are not going to cost us the game, says Dexter. A little kick behind from France, bouncing for Ruben Love. We'll go with the kick downfield into the 22 of the French. A lot of time here for Hastoy. And he will once again get that ball into touch. That's an incredible kick from Hastoy. Probably make it about 50 metres. Like I said, territory game, you're not going to win it up against the French very easily. Not with a Hastoy in their number 10 jersey. Watching from Reunion, go France, there's Young. Oh, looks like New Zealand have actually decided to take this one quickly. Little slip there from Gail Fiku. McKenzie goes across to Quintal Pyer. He's going to run it up the middle of the field. Looks like France maybe have the chance of the turnover, and they do get it. Missed clean out from Savea. And also, actually, no, they're going to penalise Tupaia first of all for the extra roll on the ground. So France have got themselves at least another 3 here. And kicking game not really working, says David. But yeah, another very kickable free for the French. Galliard is having an absolute field day. I talked about it. That second test, he should have been in there somewhere. Just for that pure ability of getting steals in the breakdown. And also, we have got there too much kicking near French line. Picking Karei, says Daniel. As Rugby 25 still unplayable? Pretty much, yeah. But they've released Rugby League Live or Rugby League 26 now. And by the sounds of it, that also is unplayable at times. So, they're consistent. Tupaia off and put on Tavatava Nawai, says Couture. And the boys will get a good, real good talking to at halftime. Yeah, Scott Robertson is frustrated with what he has seen throughout this first 33 minutes of the contest. But Legaric, another chance to be able to have a strike at the post. How can All Blacks get back into the game, says Eugene. I honestly think it's decision making. It's been a couple times where they've played straight into the French game. That one is over. And that will now make the score 19 points to 10 in favour of the French. D-Max game management has always been suspect, says Marcel. I think it's more than just Damien McKenzie in this contest, though, as he is far from the only All Black who has made mistakes in this game. I think that late change, though. Savia to 8. He's already had a couple drop balls. He's had a penalty against him. I believe it was for offside, which, of course, doesn't come into his positioning too much, but hasn't been the best start for the skipper for New Zealand here. Savia not playing today, says Mashihu there. And what's wrong with Savia? They need to stand a bit deeper, says Tainui. Now Legaric will kick this one into touch once again for the French, and it will be the line out for New Zealand, who do need a try before this halftime break. Savia needs to switch on, says Couture. And maybe Chuck Love at 10. D-Mac decision-making is shocker, says Dub, although Ruben Love too has also kicked the ball away a couple times straight into the hands of a French counter-attack. Now Tolkiaho. Ready to throw this ball in goes to Sama Penifi, now playing 6 in this contest. And AB's got this, only stupid mistakes, says Jeff there. And France are playing well and cashing in on our mistakes, says Real Sheepdog. Yeah, France have started this match extremely well. Their defence has been solid. They've been physical. Fisher looking for the steal, couldn't quite get it. Tolkiaho has been a couple of times as well, New Zealand maybe have underestimated how grindy France will be in the breakdowns. Like, they are willing to do what it takes to get that steal. 2 men in there for the French, unable to get possession though. Now Will Jordan has to play halfback. Now, oh, that was almost a steal for Fisher, but it will be the penalty. Not rolling away goes against France and kicking away possession. We're not needed. Never won game, says Dexter. And South Africa bum squad owned by Italians, second half of first test, says David. And also we have got there, either Couture, and also our best position is utility bench, says Marcel. And thanks for this, buddy, says Ron. No worries at all, but 5 minutes out from the line out, the All Blacks now have got themselves this chance. All Blacks are struggling at the breakdown, lack of support, cleaning past the ball. Yeah, it seems like France have had far too many easy chances to get steals. And that's probably been proven by the turnovers won. Can tell there are no Barretts on the field, says Norma Jean there. Now, ready to throw it in for Tolkiaho, goes to the front, finds Fabian Holland, and now the rolling maul has started up. It's at the back for Tolkiaho. That almost turned into a truck and trailer there for the Kiwis, as they will continue to try and move forward. Savia has the ball at the back. And a breakaway to the side. Drops his head. Gets a couple metres out now for New Zealand. Short ball once again. That looked close to held up. But they will be just inches from the line. I think that was Tui Pelotu. They managed to handle. And that was a bad decision there from New Zealand. And I think that's going to be held up for, I want to say it was Ethan de Groot. Unless there is a grounding here. Right, they're saying easy up. We're trying to work out who exactly it was. Yeah, it was de Groot. He tried to pick and go through what was a sea of white jerseys. He might be confident here, is he, de Groot? Doesn't look like it. Okay, referee says he didn't see nothing, so it's going to stay as held up there. Oh no, they're going to check it just in case, but the on-field decision is no try for being held up. I hope France wins to shut up all these stupid whining New Zealand fans, says Corey. This will obviously be top of the log because they are playing against small teams while we as All Blacks play heavy teams, says Cristiano, although a lot has been talked about for this French side who are certainly doing the business here in Test match number 3. Right, they need some sort of evidence that this ball was grounded. You could argue, if you really wanted to be nitpicky, that Ethan de Groot seemed like he was being tackled there before he even really got a chance to pick and go, but there's one arm down, but I don't see a grounding there. This back angle might show it. 3 French players on him. I think this is going to be no try, and a second time that New Zealand are held up. Right, on-field decision, no try, and it's going to be a goal line dropout. A commentator in the under-20 final, we certainly are. Will be taking place in around 10 hours' time. I get de Groot off for an HIA. Worried about the way the All Blacks play, says Jean-Marie there. And now, Galficu just passing it across, but once again, a brilliant defensive effort from this Les Bleus side, I should say. And they give it the benefit to France. Says good story. Well, the on-field decision was no try, so the benefit goes to the on-field decision. And come on, the All Blacks, says Mr. Pants. Kick downfield. Ruben Love claims it, goes off to Artie Savia. Last attacking chance for New Zealand of the first 40 minutes. Ratama. Cross to Quinn Tupaia. Almost cut through. And another good low tackle made on him. Ratama cross to de Groot. Tackled by Josh Brennan. Bugarit just diving in that breakdown. Probably right on the verge of a penalty, a lot of those ones, but it does seem like they aren't going to be. Now Bugarit again, trying to get in there this time. Does he win the penalty? No, keeps his hand on the ball once more. Tolkiaho. Now great work from Gilliard. No, still not available once more. Fabian Holland pops it up to the group. The 2 Highlanders linking up. Of course, there is a third in the team, Tava Nawai. We're making his way on in the second half. Now Ratama, cross to McKenzie. Ruben Love trying to step through. 25 metres still between the All Blacks and another try. Now smashed and the tackle from Halagahu. Now McKenzie, a lot of space now on the outside. Will Jordan, wide cut out pass, looked forward, but it will be play on Reese. Now tackle gets his knee down, but Fiku with the physicality. Now Ratama across to the Groot. Just know that that pass will be checked if the All Blacks do score here. Ratama goes across to Tuipulotu, 10 metres out from the line now. Ratama again goes to Tupaia. And trying to hold him up. France are physical in this matchup, ladies and gents. Now Tuipulotu moves to 5 out. Slimani has to get out of it. Ratama Savia sells the dummy. 2 French forwards in there. Ratama up to Fabian Holland. Couple metres out from the try line now. And Ratama shoveling or trying to dig for that ball. Ball is there again. France, 3 men jump in there. And it's still there for the All Blacks. Now De Groot pops it up again. Fabian Holland, great clean out, gets rid of the loose head prop. Savia, this is up to 17 phases in a row for New Zealand. Leonard Brown steps as the man on the outside slides over. And it will be the try for the Chiefs 13 right on the verge of half-time. Do hope the All Blacks get the ball between the posts, says Zoe, and AB's depth's not as strong yet as the French B team or the Bockies' depth. Says Laurie, and AB's underestimated him, and now they're going into second half on borrowed time. Big ask, says Hayden. Leonard Brown using the slippery turf there. A wide cutout pass from Will Jordan to Sevu Reece. And then after about 16 more phases, Leonard Brown, he had to score it because there was an overlap on the outside that the All Blacks could have used. Saw he was getting close and just lets the momentum slide him on over like he's a penguin. And what a ball from Jordan. Says Crislin, and come on the ABs, we need to whitewash Les Bleus, says Dylan there. And out from Joe Burke, South Africa all says, Brett, welcome in, hope you're doing extremely well. Now lining up this kick, it will be McKenzie. Does get the kick over, so at halftime, the French go into the sheds with the lead, 19 points to 17. What's our Hamish? If France win this game, you'll shave the mustache off. It's a brave decision, says David. And AB's lucky the ref is blind in the rucks. There are a lot of penalties that should have been awarded to France is mad. I would actually also say the other way round too, though. Like, there's been many times, I can count about 3 or 4 from Bugaret by himself, that he's been told not to go for it and then just keeps on fiddling with the ball. But, yeah, a lot of stuff in the breakdown for both teams has gone astray in this matchup. And I do think that a couple of those ones, if they are called in the second half, could be decision makers or game changers for the two teams. AB's for life from South Africa, says Yolanda there, and it is great to have you here. And are they not going to check the pass? I thought they would have, to be honest. It was a wide cutout pass, which normally does get checked. It looked flat to me, but they didn't check that one. Bring on Tavatavanawa. We need some punch, says Scrotimus. I can't even see the game and I was feeling nervous, says Puts there. And halftime needs to be Karefi. Needs to bench Karefi. Probably needs to come on, says Lamatasi. And Tony Johnson commentary is so trash, says Royal Sheepdog. And that last 2 minutes of play is old school AB's rugby. That was better. And also we have got there Scott Robertson needs to have a good talk to Savia and the ABs. Well, it was far from the best half for the All Blacks. But the biggest concern will be what has happened in the second half of all the other games up against France, which is New Zealand have scored less points in that second 40 than they did in the first half. And we have got their OTS in New Zealand, OTS in New Zealand. They only going to check the French things, says LB. But the first test match, they checked 3 All Blacks tries, didn't they? So I don't think that's the argument in this case. They just didn't go upstairs for that one in particular. Go France, says Luke. He's look nervous as hell, very tentative, says Leighton. Yeah, they've made a lot of errors on attack throughout that first half, and I do think that's where the tentative nature does come from. Clearly 4 parts, says Alistair. It looked close to forward, I'll be honest. I thought it was forward at the time. I'm going to look at a replay because unlike the TMO and also the two sides at this point, we are able to go back and actually have a look. So we have a check. Of course, backwards out of the hands is the big one that they do look for. So I'm going to look at the exact spot where the pass was made in terms of the wide cutout pass, because there was an aerial camera angle which showed it quite well. So we'll go across and we'll find a 2.3k watching. Smash subscribe and like, please, says Vernon. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to be live for 3 more matches tonight. Right, here we go. This pass from Will Jordan started the pass from, I would say, 30 metres out from the All Blacks line. Yeah, that looked pretty close to forward, if I'm being honest. Sevu Reece did take it probably about 25 metres out from the All Blacks line, so it all comes down, unfortunately, with the side of things of physics, it's whether or not Will Jordan's hands went backwards. Because Will Jordan outran the pass in terms of moving forward. Because he ended up on the 22-metre line when Sevu Reece took it 25 metres out. But the pass did start from 30 metres out from the line. And pass was a mile forward, says JTR. And also, as first I thought, French could spell bonjour without, or ref could spell bonjour without a problem. But then I saw he does not care about breakdowns in general, says so. Yeah, I don't think either side have had the officiating in the breakdown that they would have liked for this first half. Why is well so critical of the All Blacks? But they always let 4 passes and dangerous tackles of other sides slide, says Reggae. I don't think many people let 4 passes slide. I think that's one of those parts of the game that a lot of people get angry about no matter what. Geordie Barrett is needed big time. Says Crimson. You know, honestly, from that first half, like, Tupaia, he was involved quite a few times, but just seemed to lack that little bit of extra punch into the gap. 4 passes done now. At least the ref won't get lynched today, eh? Says Kerno Wick. And also we have got there from Jordan. And we will go like that. And like that. And ref has the AB's jersey on. Says short videos and Ruben Love really made good impact. Says Nathan. And also we have got there clear as daylight 4 pass, says Spider Mick. And how did the officials and TMO miss the 4 pass to Jordan leading to the try? Well, we looked at the replay and like you said, started the pass from 30 metres out. Finished at the time where Reece took the ball, Jordan was 22 metres out from the line, but I don't really know how that comes into it. Honestly, like the forward pass rule sometimes seems to be quite the grey area, but Reece took it 25 metres out from New Zealand's line. So from where Jordan passed it, he was in front, but then where Jordan finished from completing the pass, he was in front. So I don't really know, but it looked pretty close to forward and at least looked worth having a look at in that one. All Blacks will not lose this game, says Bruce. There's a knock on too. TMO is sleeping, says short videos, and Angus is terrible. The Springboks better insist on Europe refs and the Rugby Championship. The Southern Hemisphere refs are rubbish, says WLK. I think they've got an English ref for that match. I think it's going to be Carl Dixon in charge. That was announced about a week ago. Slow the ball down on the French line and don't rush the score, says Dion there. It was a 4 pass. TMO should have just allowed the try then, says War Plundering. I thought they were going to check it, to be honest. We have got there, ABs are the greatest team of all time, live with it. And the ref is always, or is against the French, says Simon there. I think he's against both teams at this current point in time. Like I said, we've seen quite a few things let go in this contest. They didn't get a couple of calls leading up to the try, says Foosball. And we have got there, ref the difference so far, says Alistair. And people acting scared about the score. It's a testing ground for them too. Hence putting a Ratamura on for working the combos, get it in right. And also we have got there, see that the All Blacks, or see why the ABs are platinum. It's an expectation, says Carl there. No replay equals 4 pass. They did show one replay from the aerial angle, which was probably the best one to judge it from, but yeah, it wasn't ruled by Brett Cronin in the TMO box. But these are the benches for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. Brodie McAllister there is the number 16. This will be his international debut, and it might be quite a crucial one for the youngster. George Bower and Fletcher Newell, the 2 Crusaders props, will be coming off the bench in the second half as well. Dalton Papali'i there at number 19. Duplessis Karefi, he was supposed to be off the bench in this game, but starting as the number 7 with the late change of no Luke Jacobson. So instead, Christian Leo Willie finds himself as that 20. Noah Hotham still there at 21. Tava Nawai at 22. And then number 23, it is Geordie Barrett. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there because Tava Nawai and Barrett do play the same spot. So you'd have to assume that Barrett may be going to be 15 cover in this matchup. For the French, they have not made too many changes at all as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple changes for France right at the start of the second 40 minutes. But yeah, just a few too many handling errors from New Zealand, as well as the turnover conceded 4 throughout that first half. We have got their Springboks will be AB, says Michael, and also Pumas will beat us in Argentina, says Marcel. And also we've got the no replay, no TMO, what a joke. Says Alistair there, and what happened to Aaron Smith with rugby? He is playing in Japan, or at least he was. I think he's still in with a contract, but he was training with the side a little bit earlier on in the week. And we have got there, I tell you what, New Zealand looking sleepy. Finau has had enough chances now. Time to cure him and look elsewhere. Says Razor Robertson. And also we have got there, Donald is definitely not happy in the commentary box, says John. How long is Clark out for? 6 to 8 weeks. As when he is going to be making his way on, or back on to the field for New Zealand. I reckon D-Mac 10, Timothy 12. That combo seems more in sync than the Bodie at 10. Says Kakao. And also we have got the ref definitely helping AB's side off diving into rucks, even forward pass to WDF. Says Mr. Biltong. I'll be completely honest. I think both sides have been, honestly, very dirty in the breakdowns. We have seen New Zealand... there's been a couple side cleanouts that haven't been called. We've seen France diving straight in like they're going into an Olympic swimming pool in those breakdowns as well. Nothing getting called. So I think that until someone gets pinged in a breakdown, we're going to see some scrappiness and some dirtiness from both of these teams, just like we did in the first half. How long Springboks' his red card? Says Mohadin. So Jesper Wiese is going to be out for 4 weeks in this match. We have got their great first half, and there was no double movement there. But I think the French player did pull him past the try line. Says so incredible. And Wallace is injured. He is also going to be out for around that probably 7 or so weeks from now. Maybe a little bit sooner, 5 to 7. And Karefi Finau, not the international level. Says Riss. Well, the biggest problem that they have with Karefi, I feel like, I'll be honest, he's more, for me anyway, I'm a bit more lenient. Because he didn't know he was going to be starting in this match. He would have been told all throughout the week what the tactics were for him making his way off the bench. Maybe for 15 minutes at the end, make a few tackles. Then you go into this match and you're actually starting as the 7 with Savia moving to 8. So completely different tactics across that loose ball trio. And perhaps that is why we're seeing a few of the breakdowns where New Zealand aren't quite getting there in time. Ratama, Leonard Brown, Tapaya, Karefi Finau out. Says Driss. So who are your 6 players that you're bringing in, Driss? In that regard? Your 5 players. And far out, Finau is rubbish, not really fair on Karefi. Says Riley. No, Karefi is fine, it's just Finau that's not doing much, says Razor. If he's playing France, yet you see arguments of teams not playing. Says Monsieur there. Yeah, that's how the comments, the chat does work at times. We've seen quite a bit of talk about, we've seen more talk about South Africa than we have about the British and Irish Lions and the Wallabies, who are just around the corner from taking place less than 2 hours away. Of course, later on, South Africa versus Georgia, and then New Zealand versus South Africa in the under-20s final that we are going to be covering on the channel as well, I should say. Karefi is small for international level. He may be small, but he can still pack a punch. And, I think that at times people are too obsessive over size rather than what they do. Because Karefi's work rate, he outworks a lot of guys bigger than him. And if the only problem that you've got with him is his size, that's probably not the end of the world. Because if he can still get the turnovers in the breakdown and he can still, make those important tackles. Like he's been tackling the big 135 kg props of the French here with no problems. And we have got there hoping Wallabies will be at least competitive. So here's DJ. And we have got there Parker, Blackadder, Christie. I must have their chance. So Blackadder's injured. Parker's injured. And I assume Christie, you're talking Tom Christie. He is the only one who's not injured out of those 3 in that regard. And Karefi just needs more game time, says Nathan. And Papali on the bench, says Aloya. It'll be intriguing to see what changes we will see from the All Blacks heading into the second half as well. And All Blacks must try the line out in the middle of the field, says Rue. Could be a tactic. Razor did say that he found it quite interesting and he did enjoy some of the tactics used. Finau is very soft for his size, says Riley Freeman. See, he's I think that at times Karefi is packing more of a punch than Finau. And you look at the size comparison and, there's a big difference. And France play much better with this team, says Jan Lu. And definitely not good comparing to DC at 10 and Sunny 12, Nonu 13. That's delusional, but it's getting better, says Kakao. And also, even if we lose the embark record, there will still be 50 years of AB's record yet to be broken, says Soa Jr. And also, is in-play lifting now the norm? It is, or actually, to be fair, World Rugby haven't said anything about it. They said that kickoff was illegal, but they haven't said anything about the the line-out maul in the middle of the field. So I think that will still be a go-to for quite a few teams if it is something that is allowed. So it's nothing to just look at Colby. Yeah, Colby sits down props and locks with his runs. I bring on the bomb squad, says in a light. The rest will win this game for the AB, says Alistair, for the 15th time. And we have got their Wire Island playing little games. What do you mean little games? Like, as in, like, who they're playing? They have got the British and Irish Lions, so a majority of their players are missing in that regard. So, like, honestly, I'm glad that they are playing matches, though, up against some smaller teams. Yes, they absolutely dominated Portugal in that contest, but I'd rather them have that game than just sit there not having matches for July. We have got is there too many leaders in the British and Irish Lions team at the moment that could cost them in Australia? I think that they're looking pretty handy, I would say. We have there, the ref won't he's English, says War. And AB's missing Vai, a fast improving player, and Geordie Barrett, who could play anywhere and still be good at it, says Joe Webby. I had a bad feeling about this game before kickoff, says Josh. Well, France have made it very clear that this is the one that they are going to try and target. Yes, they would have cared about the first two a little bit, right? But the third match, they have said from the get-go, that's the one that they're going to win. And they said that is where they're really going to be able to make a statement. Because if they win this game, they move right up in terms of those world ranking points. They will be just a little tiny bit behind the Irish. I take Blackadder after Karei. A good big man always beats a good little man. Karei can't smash big boys aside. From Wellington, by the way, says Wafer, although Blackadder, of course, injured. So at this current point in time, like, it is the tricky comparison to make. Tamati Ellison, they are talking to at the moment. Only the 2 points difference, though, in this matchup. So still plenty of time to be able to move forward. We have got Shazza with the wine, the burger, the fries, and the laughing. That sounds like a great evening. A Macca's combo meal by the looks of it, although I don't think they give the wine out, do they? That would have to be provided beforehand. We are there watching from London, doing a great job. Classic venue. Latron, says Jeff. The second half just about to start with 7 Chiefs players. We never win. They only had 6 in this matchup due to the late change. But we're now ready to go. And it is kicked off by the French and slapped back by France. That is now, I believe, 3 or 4 kickoffs that they have been able to retain. Ligarek right back in the right part of the field. Tackled by Duplessis, Karei, Gilliard with a pick and go, tackled by Savia. Another pick and go, Tui Pilotu ready to make that tackle, holding him up, almost turned it into a rolling maul. Tokiao told to get out of it. Now Gilliard, he has been sensational throughout this matchup. Now off to the left. They've made one change here, the French, by the sounds of it. I believe it is Boucheton who has made his way onto the field. It might actually be for Fisher in this matchup. What is our 4 and 5 retiring at, or what is our 4 and 5? Why isn't our 4 and 5 trying at kickoff? I think that's supposed to be from Lamatasi, and France is clearly swimming around the rucks to clean out, says John. But now Bugaret, still 20 metres out from the line here. New Zealand finding themselves defending early in the second half. Now Gelfiku. Karei tries to hold him up, told to release. Fee now told to get out of it. Looks like he might have hurt his knee in the process there. He looks a little bit ginger at the moment. Fee now will keep an eye on him, but Ligarek once again goes back, finds Harstoy. Drop kick attempted here for France. And it is away to the side. And Hamish Cracker in the Da Vinci Code live on YouTube says Dylan there. And who do you prefer, Messi or Ronaldo? I haven't watched enough of them, no. And France start second half with a try, says Hazel. Not quite. They try a drop kick, and it is unsuccessful for Harstoy, sitting 1 from 2 throughout this matchup now. Ruben Love, 22 dropout, given the reins. To be able to kick it far downfield, 30 metres out from their own line now. France running it forward. It is Barret. Gavin Villiers chasing after this one, going up, slaps it back. France win the aerial battle over Ruben Love. Now Gilliard, oh, that's a big shot coming in on Villiers, and he didn't knock it on in the process, so they will go back for the scrum now in favour of New Zealand. And Hamish, keep you cool. Don't let us Australians distract you. There's cool story, bro. And also show some rugby league tricks, AB, says Katurf. Yeah, Ruben Love going up for that ball, not quite able to win it. Gavin Villiers, big smile on his face. He is absolutely loving it at the moment. France in control. But for how long? I still can't believe they fired Jake White. Do you know who's his next team to coach? Maybe Leinster, says Xander. I think the team will take Jake White if he is still wanting to coach. We have good there. What do you think the French tactics will be in the second half? I think it will be more of the same. They're winning the territory battle. So there's no need to shy away from that. They have got 6 forwards off the bench, so they will continue to get guys into the breakdown. Concentrate on possession, have patience, says David. And yeah, France, those kickoffs, that is exactly where they will continue to try and target. All right, far side has gone early there. Quick tap taken off the back for Adi Savia, running up the middle of the field. Had 2 line breaks in the match last week. Quintal Boyer almost clearing out a man in the breakdown illegally. Now kicked him high from McKenzie. It's an awkward bouncing one, which turns it into a handy enough kick. Karei with their handling here, a couple metres out from his line. Severis and Tupaia both getting in the breakdown, trying to steal it for New Zealand. French player lifting a leg and sealing it off well. Now Ligarek, 1 metre from the line, has to kick it out. And now New Zealand getting a big gain in territory. All thought about going quick for Ruben Love. It does decide against a goal line drop kick. Offer held up is against the spirit of game. Yes, it's applied. And Villiers is crazy under the high ball. He is very strong at getting that slap back. In fact, both left wingers have been good throughout this match when it comes to that department. We've seen Severis also doing quite well for New Zealand. Yeah, the counter-ruck looking strong from the All Blacks there, just not quite able to get in, and it looks like a change is about to be made. In fact, make that 4. All new front row coming on the field now for the French. It will be Bleus makes his way on for Bugaret. Paul Mallet, he will make his way on, and then also Demba Bamba in that number 18 jersey. George Bower makes his way on for Ethan de Groot. There's a change that New Zealand have decided to make. And of course, Talfafenor already out there for the French at this point in time. But Samasoni Taukiaho ready to throw it in, claimed by Fabian Holland. Karefi looping around was Samasoni Taukiaho, 10 metres out from the line now. Popping it up to Summer Penny now. Back across the right-hand side. I believe that was Tui Pilotu. Now Taukiaho trying to bundle his way forward, dragged down by Talfafenor. Pick and go from Savia. Bumps out of one challenge. Paul Mallet spins out of another. 2 metres short of the line. Now just a couple metres out. Bauer moves forward. Mallet looks for the steal. Ratama short ball to Leonard Brown. Rush defence from Gavin Villiers. Karefi. Looks like he is going to get the carry now, almost through, but great tackle from Brennan. Now Fabian Holland, that's round the neck from France there. That's almost a guillotine being held here. He'll have to be careful not to choke Fabian Holland down, and it's going to become a scrum for the French. Yeah, well, that is a chokehold that even the UFC fighters would be proud of. Cyril Gane, he would love to do one like that in the heavyweight division. I don't see Will Jordan in this match, but we're going to see the breaking through. Yeah, the ball was dropped initially actually from Taukiaho. Adi Savia trying to get that pick and go going. And then Fabian Holland, it was a great bit of control. Yeah, that's a good squeeze. He's got a future in MMA. And we have got there, let's go New Zealand. There's Osa there. And also French have a history of decapitation, says JW. You're the man, my bro, says Primitive. They are just showing the stats. Time in opposition 22. 6 minutes 33 for New Zealand, but they have only got themselves the 2 tries. And that was a SAS head snap. And we have got a new member on the channel, says Teriem. From Teriem, so I do appreciate your territory. 56% for New Zealand. And I think a lot of that has come down to scrum going down. Knee from, was it Lomax or George Bower? George Bower has had his face and hair turn blue from the turf. Demba Bumba's feeling the same way. But a big scrum straight away from the French tight head prop. Our last match pick and go worked well. A ref didn't see again, says David. It is not good for my heart, says Novmum. And there as well. But now France will have themselves a line out. Sitting about 32 metres out. Bauer drops it and he says Rodney and France have this, I reckon, says Duncan. They've got momentum here. And it looks like there is potentially 2 more changes that are about to be made. Fletcher Null on the sideline, ready to go. That will shore up the New Zealand scrum that little bit more. And Calder Hamish says, Charles, welcome in. Hope you are doing well. Rolling maul of the French once again in play. It is now kicked downfield, waiting for it under the high ball as Damien McKenzie tries to fend off Villiers, who's got him by the jumper and is not letting him go. Turnover in the breakdown again for France. Ooh. They consider the quick tap. I think it was Villiers that started it in the breakdown, and that could be another 3-pointer here. 3 minutes, that was close, says Mr. Haaland. That is going to be ball carrier hanging on. New Zealand have not been clinical when it comes to those breakdowns. France, they have been absolutely lethal, but that is what happens when they play Gilliard, Villiers, and Fisher. Those 3 had 6 turnovers between them in match number 1, sacked them all for match number 2, and that was somewhere that France definitely weren't as strong in the second test match for. Villiers is a monster, says Sakabula. Yeah, we'll see him rip him down. But Damien McKenzie, no release, but we don't need those apparently. not even a slight little one there. But it would have been nice for Villiers to try and release him. Again, the wrong decision, trying to force over instead of the back line. Running the forwards, another miss of a try, says Oswald. And the ref really needs to go back to ref score training, says Sue. Yeah, I think we've made it clear in this game, both sides have had like times in the breakdown where they haven't got penalties that they should have. And also there are times where, you know, maybe they've got penalties that they shouldn't have. But Ligeric now ready to line this one up. And it is Curlin, misses the post. And does end up with a goal line dropout. In fact, sorry, a 22 dropout there. Are you on the under-20s final tomorrow? We certainly are. We will be doing that match between New Zealand and South Africa. It should be a very impressive one right in front of the touch, he says Rodney. But now Brodie McAllister, he will get his international debut in front of his home crowd for the Super Rugby season. All Black number 1,229. Tackle on Holland's neck was a penalty. Yeah. We've seen a lot slip in this match for both sides. So it will be very intriguing to see how it goes for the last 30. And Mr. says, don't underestimate the French. Absolutely. I think that this series has proven that even though they haven't got those frontline guys, they have got a lot of talent coming through the ranks. Ada Sogby going up for it, but a great take under the high ball from Ruben Love. Ratama going to the short side. Leonard Brown off to Karefi. Passes one more to Finau, who's running to touch. And it will now be a line out for France. Where's this ref from? Australia. We have got there in all seriousness, what would a loss to New Zealand mean here? That would mean that they do keep that number 2 spot, but they do drop, I think it's about 1 point something in the rankings. 1.66 for a loss here. So the way that they would sit is they would still be in second, but the Irish would only be 0.25 behind them-ish, and France will be about that same margin. Their under-20s game will be a blinder, I reckon. I think it's going to be match of the weekend. So, yeah, hopefully it lives up to expectation. Pick and go there from France over the ball. Ratama, no, pops out the back for Malé. Now Tui Pelotu. Can't get the steal either. Ligaric going off to Gelfiku. Still just a 2 points separating these sides. And shut them down, AB, says Katurv. And All Blacks will come back, says Monique. All there again for Ligaric. Now into the breakdown and the penalty for New Zealand. Malé in off his feet. Glen out from the side, says Rodney. And also it's French rugby strong, losing 2 in a row. Yeah, real strong, says Cacao. But I think you need to take it into consideration what this French side does look like. Because, you know, there's probably 20 guys that are normally in the French team that are not here. So to have that close of a game up against New Zealand and Dunedin and currently be leading after 51 minutes, like surely there isn't much of an argument in terms of that this younger developmental French side has got a lot of talent, right? I need to keep it open in space, says Katurv. I used to like many complain about the refs, but now I've changed. I've accepted that every game will have wrong calls, says Sphinx. And now Ratima with the line out. Yeah, miss pass in behind. And now Ruben Love has to retreat. He's got two Frenchmen on his back. Other side big. And Villiers gets wrestled down to the ground. And the ball is there for New Zealand again. Did All Blacks score the penalty, says Charles. They did score one earlier on in the game. Now Ratima kicking this one up. Once again to the halfway line. Nicely taken by Karei. Tackled low by Will Jordan, who we have hardly seen out on the right wing in this matchup. He has actually, when he's had the ball, he's had to move inwards. And come on the All Blacks, says Hannah. Now Barlow. Oh, Karefi told to get out. Oh no. Referee says no, get out of that, Karefi. And then went, oh, actually, it's a penalty to the All Blacks. So well done from Duplessis Karefi. He did let go of it when the ref said so, but player leaving the feet goes against the French forward. And yes, Karefi says Rodney in there as well. And the Abies are still in a Super Rugby mood, says Jeff J. But the penalty now will lead to New Zealand making a little bit more ground. Abies are definitely cleaning up the breakdown, says John. Kicked in a touch by Damien McKenzie. 27 minutes remaining in this match, ladies and gents. We see it there, yeah. Clear cleaning, clear just pretty much, I can't even think of the word, but not rolling away. I believe it was against the French forward Gilliard and Duplessis, yes. Now throwing it in, Brodie McAllister, claimed by Fabian Holland. Wasn't a straight line out, but France didn't compete for it. Now Tupaia runs it straight at Hastoy. Ratima goes across to Savia again. We have got there, come on, ref says Stormer, and skew at the line out, says Eugene. Although because France didn't compete, it means that it is allowed. So all France needed to do there was throw someone up. Now Ruben Love going to find his way through. Tackled by Gilliard and Hastoy again, who's had a busy day in that number 10 jersey. Tupaia, 35 metres out from the line now, still for New Zealand. Leonard Brown trying to find his way through. I think that New Zealand won't be a mile away from making some changes. With just the 26 minutes left on the clock. Fletcher Null, middle of the field. Tackled by France once more. In your judgment, who you reckon is better team at the moment? I would say that control-wise, it would have to be France from what we've seen in this first 54 minutes. Although New Zealand, if we're being honest, they've got the advantage. Villiers decided to give it away anyway. Played the 9. But I would say that New Zealand seem like they've got the more potential to play better, if that makes sense. Like France, I would say, have done extremely well throughout this first 55, but New Zealand have also played pretty poorly throughout that period. So if New Zealand can gel, they would be, what I think, the better side for the last 20. But France, if they can keep those breakdowns going, yeah, Villiers just getting it wrong, so then just place them again. Decided what? Oh, might as well. What happened to that depth? Said Lamatasi, and execution not as good. So Quinn Tupaia, he will make his way off the field. That is for Geordie Barrett, who I know a lot of people were hoping to not see in this match, but I think there'll be a lot more hoping to see him do well in that 12 jersey here. Having a bit of a chat there with Ruben Love. Is Roygaard on yet? Roygaard's not on the bench in this contest. They have got Noah Hotham as a replacement 9. Now thrown in Fabian Holland. Looking for the rolling maul. Brodie McAllister has got the position at the back. I'm keeping an eye on Demba Bamba on the far side as he looks ready to pounce if he needs to. Now breaking away, McAllister lined up and taken down. Villiers again in the breakdown. Knocks the ball free, but Will Jordan does manage to regather it. Now, Savia passes across. Karefi with the nice hands. Tui Pilotu stays low, close to the sideline, and he's dropped the ball there. And it will be stolen now by France. Once again, brilliant defence right on the line. Hotham get him on, says Amaru there. And come on, Geordie, says Dylan. So there will be now a penalty to the French. There's already a knock-on advantage. And Patience missing close to the line. How did he drop the ball, says Charles. I think he took a knock on the nose looking at him there. He's bleeding from the nose. And they are there at the line. Now Hastoy will be able to kick this one into touch. The grass is so lush. It does look like a very nice field, that is for sure. And it does go into touch. Your sponsor commentary is world class, bro. Cheers, keep it up, says Duncan. Thank you very much, greatly appreciated. Oh yeah, took a big shot on the head to Ipolotu as he was going for the try line. It's a good initial low tackle, and then Gilliard just hits him hard and drives him sideways, knocks the ball out. And we have got the New Zealand pundit saying disrespect, got a slap in the face at the moment. Says Tiger XI. And it was already plural, doesn't need an S. Says David. But now, Hastoy, kicking downfield. Taken by Damian McKenzie. Currently 56 minutes through this contest, and we are still sitting with a 2-point difference between these two sides. Ruben Love, all the time in the world, goes for the kick in the middle, and France had no one back covering. Now Ratama tries to charge down, gives the ball straight back to France, but it sits up on Finau, who offloads to Will Jordan. He will be hard to catch, but Villiers is going to be able to get there. Now Ratama calling for the ball on the outside. New Zealand with the advantage as France try to slow it down. Now again, Ratama off to the left-hand side to McKenzie. Geordie Barrett, nice pass across to Ruben Love. Puts the grubber in behind. Didn't quite get enough on it. And they'll go back for the penalty for New Zealand. Oh, advantage over. Oh, no. No, they're going back for the penalty now, says Angus Gardner. I was going to say, either way, it's going to be more than likely a New Zealand line-out. Although, do they want the 3 points here if you're New Zealand? I don't understand the ruck side entry rule. Can you join from the back and then peel off to the side, to the back of the opposition side, kick the ball? Seems it is allowed, says it was there from Yanni. So it's pretty much the most basic part of it is you have to enter what they call through the gate at the back. Rolling ball try, calling it. Says John there, and take the 3, says Dylan. Yeah, the 3 would give New Zealand the lead, but I think they've opted for the corner again. This is something that we saw backfire during Super Rugby for certain teams. Is it going to backfire for the Kiwis here? Now ready to throw it in. Nicely taken by Fabian Holland. Popping it up to Brody McAllister in behind Will Jordan. Decides to have a run. Now Ratama shifting away to the left. McKenzie tries to kick him behind again. It's going to be covered by France. Ripped out though by Reese. Picked up by Karefi, and it will be a try for the All Blacks. Karefi in his starting debut. Karei looked like he did enough, but the ball ripped out of his hands. They will check to see maybe if he was grounded at the time. As if so, then, of course, that is going to be a penalty against him. But Duplessis Karefi for his first try in an All Blacks kit. We'll see the replay here. So Karei, it was the pressure from Reese. Was it ripped on the ground? In that case, we'll see it there. Yeah, see, that could have been a penalty, I would say, against Sever Reese. We have got there, this is better AB, says Sakabola. Although it also depends on what they consider, whether or not we saw Reese also hold the ball at the same time as Karei. That might have been the thing that gets it as the other way around. And go the All Blacks, says Regi there, but this kick from New Zealand misses away to the side, but they will take the lead. And it is 22 points to 19 now in favour of New Zealand. But we see it there from Karei. And All Blacks dominating the second half. There's a rooster on the field. Who let their rooster out? It's got a better haircut than Damien Mc... No, we can't say that. And bloody fantastic ABs, says Dylan there. And over the line, it either held up. All right, it's got to move forward, says Mr. All-In. So the try was awarded. It has been awarded, and now the score sits 22-19. Our French mascot on the field, says JW. And keep going, boys, says Soa Jr. there. Go the All Blacks, says Kiwi Cindy. Will Jordan taking it. He's been more involved in the last 10 minutes or so, and it seems like it's made a lot of difference. Duplessis Karefi, first try under his belt for the Kiwis. It's the quarter of the match to go. No is on. We haven't actually seen a scrum since. Now Ratama, kick in for the touchline, does get it out with a very good kick from the All Blacks 9. And keep it up, All Blacks, says Mahara. And also, I did not see the rooster. Well, there was one on the field. All France decided to take that one quickly. Still throwing up a man after the ball was in the field of play. And up to the halfway line now, Karei and off his feet. Tackler at the back as well. So that is going to be the advantage now going the way of France. Little kick behind attempted by Lineout. And it's knocked back by France. Will be play on. Chance here on the break. Looking for the corner. And what a tackle that is from Jordie Barrett to push him into touch. Is that advantage over? Or are they going right back to the halfway line? That has to be advantage over, doesn't it? Right, the flag has gone up. Brilliant defence from Jordie Barrett to cut across. The bounce of the ball for France moving up to the 22. And then that cover defence, the last-ditch tackle from Jordie Barrett. And gets him into touch. Well, Jordan has stepped up, says Mashiu there. And also nice Geordie clutch, says Kulinaisi in there as well. Now Brodie McAllister ready to throw this one only 5 metres out from New Zealand's line. They will go in. No one claims it. Missed call. And it means that France have now got the ball 5 metres out from New Zealand's line. Les Bleus with Gilliard round the side. That's going to take a monumental turnover here for the Kiwis to stop the French momentum. Ardie Savia, though, gets on the ball and he wins it for New Zealand, just like he has many times before. And great job as usual watching from South Africa. South Jordan in Utah. 2:30 in the morning, says Michelle. So greatly appreciated you being here. And this Pac-Man says, missed all in without Savia, the ABs wouldn't be nowhere. Says Eugene. Yeah, a poor throw. I don't know what happened between Brodie McAllister and Tui Pelotu, but no one seemed to be on the same page. Thank you, Artie, says David. And he's only got real lucky there, says JW. Now it's going to be thrown in. Back across to the left-hand side. Oh, that's accidental offside there. So it is going to be the scrum now for New Zealand. Hastoy, that is the second time he's actually been blocked. Raising funds to get more chickens on the pitch, says Dylan. Thank you very much for your generosity. But yeah, the second time someone has been in Hastoy's way. The last time it resulted in a drop kick that went over. This time resulted in a scrum feed for New Zealand. Who's been dominating the set piece, says Stephen. I would say neither side have fully dominated it. France were able to score off their first rolling maul of the day and also have had a couple scrum penalties in their favour. New Zealand, I think, are in the same boat, though. And it seems like since that sub has happened, there's just a bit less cohesion. But, you know, set piece-wise, I don't think we've seen New Zealand actually have too many scrums at all throughout this matchup, which has been really the talk of the tour in terms of those scrums. They just don't seem to be getting them. We have got there what games after Lions. It is going to be South Africa taking on Georgia and then New Zealand versus South Africa in the under-20s final. Artie Clutch saving it. Says Cacao. And also, where's this live Sky Sport? It is on Sky Sport, yes. And this is a good French team, says David. It is a mix of both sides and it is the best of both games. You know, I do think that this young team has proven a lot of people wrong throughout this one. And where are you, says Darren? I am in New Zealand, in the South Island. Now, Cortez Ratima, that was a big push from New Zealand, but they don't get the penalty. Now, McKenzie looking to kick it in behind, finds a bit of space. Adesogbe back, though, inside of his 22. We'll kick this ball into touch. And thanks for your commentary. We've just returned back to Thailand from Ghana. And we're able to watch, or we weren't able to watch, we were able to watch the first two. Thanks to you. Very good commentary, thanks, says Tad. Sorry for how badly I read that one out, but greatly appreciated you tuning in. We have got the WTF, says Darren. And get the hooker off. Unfortunately, he's the replacement hooker, so I don't think they can really take him off at this point in time. But another line out now for New Zealand, sitting 16 minutes remaining in this contest. And just the 3 points separating them. Going to the front, well stolen by France for a second, but McAllister manages to take it straight back. So there might be a bit of an injury here for France as well. So New Zealand theoretically playing with 14. As I think that's Tisharon, who only made his way on the field just before. But now, passing across to Jordie Barrett. Let's get wrestled down, told to release. Ratima's still on. I don't think they'll be too far away from bringing on Noah Hotham. George Bower pops it back to McKenzie. Now Leonard Brown. Currently New Zealand have that 3-point lead, so a converted try here would put them in a very good position. Definitely with the amount of time remaining on the clock, but they do need the conversion. Ratama almost through, but the last-ditch tackle made by Taufifenua in the steal, and the breakdown was coming for France. But a knock on there. That means that New Zealand will have themselves the scrum feed. And we have got their great commentary watching in from France. Says Martin and Titty Hamilton. Well, I do appreciate you both being here. And great scrap all round, or a bit scrappy all round to be fair. Feels like a low average of phases while in possession. And unfortunately for Tisharon, oh, that's a bad one. That might be a relatively severe shoulder injury for the man. Yeah, Ratama trying to sneak through and just knocking it on in the process. Trying to steal it there for Paul Marlier, but Sama Penny Finau, he will make his way off. And I believe that is going to be for Dalton Papali'i. Yes, it is his first minutes of 2025. Still have got Christian Leo Willie as a potential option. I assume that they'll take Karefi off a bit later on. Give Leo Willie a few minutes there. Or there's a chance that they may not actually play Leo Willie in this contest because he was only named about 10, 20 minutes before the game did start. Thank you very much, Sana, for becoming a member. You now have access to those exclusive emojis on the channel. And watching from South Africa and Cape Town. And of course, we are going to be covering that Springboks versus Georgia game a little bit later on. New Zealand have lost 4 lineouts in this match, which has been the most of any game that they have played throughout this series up against France. Despite the category of any national team, test match is a test match, says no. Now, New Zealand, they have got themselves a scrum about 35 metres out. And now the big scrum, New Zealand, massive push. They'll have the penalty advantage. Hotham, who has made his way on for Ratama. Leonard Brown, I don't know what he was doing there. He wasn't expecting a pass when he was on attack. So they will go back. This is an easy 3 if New Zealand want it. But the question is, do they want this one now, or do they want to go for the corner and try and fully secure this game? I would say that it's probably safer to go for the 3 with the line out the way that it's been going. No, New Zealand kicking for the corner. This might come back to backfire, ladies and gentlemen. And so I appreciate this, bro. I'm in Fiji and couldn't find any way to listen, says Mike. And we are going to be back with plenty more games in the near future, including those Fijian matches of the Pacific Nations Cup, alongside the Rugby Championship. But New Zealand finding a rhythm there at scrum time. Yeah, Leonard Brown just hits him in the chest. Slips through the fingertips. Now McAllister, line out throw. This one 5 metres out from the line. A good kick from Damian McKenzie. Try conversion needed, says Masihu there. Now thrown in, not contested by France, who came down early to block the rolling maul. McAllister with the ball at the back. They're being told to use it once. It is now moving, I believe. That is going to be Taufifenua. Gets through the middle. Ball tied up, but it is at the back for New Zealand. Hotham goes across to Geordie Barrett. Tackle 5 metres out from the line now. Playing half. It will be Hotham once more. So I think that was Ruben Love. Yes, it was. And he is driven back 5 metres. Told he is not a forward by the French pack. Across to Tui Pelotu. And to get that steal on the breakdown was Josh Brennan. Dalton Papali'i. His first carry of his international career of 2025. Hotham with the pick and go. Goes straight at Taufifenua, who was told to release him. Now, Savia looking after the short side. Papali'i gets over the line almost. He might have got it grounded. He's claiming it. And he hasn't decided to try and roll it back, which makes you think he might just about think he's got it on the line. He is adamant that he has got the grounding. I think that is because he's trying to get the ref to give it as the on-field try. Okay, they are checking it here to see if Dalton got it over the try line, but it was probably not over. It might have been on. Okay, Angus Gardner said that he has seen it held up at the end, so the decision is going to be no try from the ref, but the TMO has got the ability to check the grounding here for Brett Cronin. And here says Bella. It just rolls round there for Papali'i. That looks close there from that angle. I do think eventually the French do dig it up a little bit higher. But this one, I don't know if they're going to have an angle of it. Right, they've said it's really tight. That ball is just short of the try line. Then this movement here is what would show a grounding, which I don't think they're going to... Oh, that's close. So there's not going to be any benefit of the doubt to Papali, I wouldn't say. So this is going to become held up, I would say. Once again, just maybe the wrong choice. Oh, that one was close. That last angle showed it very close to that goal line. If he doesn't award the try, he'll probably give New Zealand another penalty, says Dubai. I don't know if they had a penalty advantage, though, at that point in time, so I think it would be a goal line dropout. You're lucky to have power to watch, says David. And also, we have got the ref having a good game. All that angle's not really going to show us too much either. I think it's going to be a no try because there won't be clear, conclusive evidence. Right, on-field decision, no try, so they will stick with the on-field decision. It's going to be held up. And it will be a goal line dropout. That is now the third time, ladies and gentlemen, that France have held up New Zealand over the try line. So when you talk about moments that could win a game and you talk about this French defence, you know, they have been strong where it has mattered most. Sarvi are now running it forward, though. New Zealand, they didn't take the 3 points. They could have been up by 6, so they have to score now if they want to say they made the right decision. Hotham goes across there to Fabian Holland again. I do see that Christian Leo Willie is still yet to make his way onto the field. Hotham going to the short side. Oh, goes for a little cheeky kick in behind. Nada Sogby trying to get it. Oh, Sarvi has hurt himself, I think. Is his leg going to work? It looks like it is, but it looked like he might have really tweaked the ankle there, Sarvi. But the ball back in the hands of the French. Now, Taufafanua driven backwards. My Papali'i tried to go through the middle. Sarvi running like he just came on, says Dylan. And bring Tavatavanawa in. Yeah, I don't think he'll be a mile away from making his way on. Although, who do you bring him on for in this case? Nicely taken by Damien McKenzie. And it will be now the line out, 40 metres out. Time check at the moment. It is 69 minutes through in this matchup. Why did the refs make a decision? Should be left to the touch judge. That was a try, says Stephen. And Xavier is a bull. Says Appealer in there. I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We had the goal of reaching 67,500 by the end of this matchup. We are currently around 300 away, so if you do want to hit that subscribe button, it is greatly appreciated. We are here each and every weekend with live streams of matches. We've got 3 more coming up this weekend, including the British and Irish Lions taking on the Wallabies. But Tavatavanawa, he is now on for Anton Leonard-Brown. So I believe the bench for New Zealand, with the exception of Leo Willie, has now been emptied. Tackle around the halfway line. I'm noticing that France is starting to slow down a little bit when it comes to that breakdown. Severies ball on the inside to Ruben Love, who shows off a bit of acceleration. But now on the ball, that was very close to the steal for the French. Holland on the short side, close to the touchline. Now, Tavatavanawa plays halfback in this contest. I don't think that was on the bucket list for this match, but now pick and go. Makes about 5 extra metres, if not more. Malay trying to get the steal, had a hand on it and he rips it away. Kicked forward though from Noah Hotham. France cleaned the ball up 10 metres out from their line. And Hastoy has no option but to just boot that one down the middle of the park. Ruben Love lining up a drop kick from 40 out and misses by miles out to the right-hand side. So now you've got to ask the question, if they're willing to take a drop kick from there, why weren't they willing to take 3 points straight out in front of the posts that would have given them 6 points in the lead? The drop goal, had it gone over. Scott Robertson does not look happy in the coaching box. Ruben Love saying, oh, I almost got that one. Good choice, Love, says Rodney. But once again, why didn't they take 3 5 minutes ago? And that developmental France team has taken the ABs to the wire, says Christian. Now kicked off down to the halfway line. Nicely taken by Severis, who puts on the step and gets around Barlow. Now kicked in behind from Hotham. New Zealand just playing the territory game at the moment here. That one's going to be Ada Sogby's 5 metres out from the line, right off the side of the boot. And it will be a 10-metre line out now for New Zealand. Good pressure and a well-spotted kick from Noah Hotham. And naivety from Love, says Kuno Rick. Yeah, I wonder if someone in the team yelled out, go for it, or something. But that was really off the side of the boot for Ada Sogby. Giving New Zealand the perfect position now on the field. And I love seeing more and more drop goal attempts. Never seen them very often these days, says Silly Bear. And nice kick, France, says Dylan. Impatient, says David. Now, Brodie McAllister ready to throw this ball. New Zealand just reshuffling their line out. Going to Dalton Papali'i. Well defended again by France. Karei breaking off the back. Gives it to Savia 10 metres out from the try line here. France told to get onside. It's the 8 minutes remaining in this contest. It is close. And now France, just like Savia had not too long ago, they need a big turnover in these moments. Galfiku trying to hold on to that ball of Tuipulotu now has to get out of the breakdown and be protected by New Zealand again. Holland with a quick hands to Timothy. Tavanawai tries to step but dragged down by Gilliard. Has to be up there for French player of the match. Hotham to the left-hand side finds George Bauer. Drops his head and drives with Geordie Barrett on his side. Hotham to Savia. Ball was dropped in the breakdown, but ref says it backwards. Now off to the right. Fabian Holland tries a bit of a step, the big man. Up to 9 phases in a row. Tamothi Tavanawai tries to sit down Demba Bamba, but is dragged down. Now halfback Hotham goes to Mackenzie short. Flat pass to Geordie Barrett. This is great French defence. Counter ruck coming. Mackenzie muscling up though and keeps it on the side of the ABs. Now Demba Bamba joining that breakdown. Hotham across to Holland. Methodical play at the moment from the All Blacks. Not going aggressive. Not trying anything too crazy. Now short ball. Mackenzie goes to Barrett. Couldn't quite get through again. Now Hotham pick and go. Gives it off to Duplessis Karei. Severis in the breakdown. Savia up to 15 phases. Not for the first time in this match for New Zealand. Holland another carry. One of the busiest players out there on the field for New Zealand throughout this contest. Hotham goes short side, little bit isolated, but Karei there to be able to protect the ball. Savia pick and go around the side, tackled by Gilliard, who was slow to get back up to his feet. Barrett breaks through 10 metres out from the line now. Reese with the pick and go, 3 metres from the line for the All Blacks. Tuipulotu with the pick and go. This is where New Zealand's decision making throughout the game has been a little bit off, but can they make the right one here and get a match-winning try? Savia held up just short of the try line. No, held up over the line, says Angus Gardner, and it will be the 4th time that New Zealand give a goal line drop out to the French. Once again, thinking that they're going to drive over, they need to shift that when they're that close to the line, as we have seen now 4 times that they haven't been able to finish it off when close to the line, whether it's Finau, Savia, Papali'i. We have got there, what a bad game, says Chili Willy. And also we have got there, Sarah will be all over us, says Arvin Oz, but it's going to be kicked off now by Hastoi. New Zealand again claim it. Mackenzie not going for a goal line dropout this time. Instead, it's Papali'i who does drive forward and makes about 15 metres. They held up and then the goal line dropout is rubbish, says WLK. Now Tavanawai trying to go through Gilliard. One big turnover for France could change this game completely. Bauer pops it up to Mackenzie, who's still trying after 75 minutes. Hotham cross to Karei and behind goes to Barrett. Big fend on the big man. Taufifenua. I think McAllister's done his leg, but he scored the try on debut. It looked like maybe the hamstring popped or something, but Taufifenua fended off by Geordie Impact Barrett. And now the other Impact player off the bench, Brodie McAllister, he's running. Okay, he just really buckled his knee though when he tried to score that one. It's like in the dreams when you're trying to outrun someone and you never quite do. But Barrett, the break of the line, and McAllister, the early dive. He didn't want to run anymore. And then when I finally turned up 4 times, says Mashiu there, and clean sweep, says Soa Jr. Yeah, no, McAllister, I think he got his legs maybe around the wrong way when he was trying to outrun Galfiku. And finally, says David, instead of goal line dropout, should be a 5-metre free kick. For the attacking team, says WLK, and hamstring pop. Geez, what's going on that field? Luckily, he's all right. It just looked that way from the way that he ran. But now, the kick lining this one up, Damien McKenzie does get that one over, using up as much time as he could. 3.5 minutes remaining. New Zealand now up by 10 points. So unless something drastic happens, New Zealand should just about hang on for this game. But the break of the line and great support run from Brodie McAllister as well. A very smart tactic to slide early so that it's harder to stop him. And 10 points is safe, boys, says Zai. Now kicked off, knock on there from France, then from New Zealand. Will be a scrum feed for the ABs. We have got their time for CP to announce or adopt Rassi, says Salah there. And also we have got there, if you need help, or if you need the help of a ref to win the game, I shall be right when the box come to town, says Ari Ronda. Yeah, we've mentioned about it from the get-go. The ref, I don't like to badmouth the ref too much, because I feel there are a lot of other moments that sides can win out there on the field, but the ref has missed a lot from both teams throughout this matchup. You know, that try that we saw from New Zealand right at the end of the first half, some debated that it was Ford. And then you've also got the times in the breakdown where the likes of Gavin Villiers managed to win that penalty that could have led to 3 points for France, never clearly releasing. So it's just been a pretty scrappy game overall. Another advantage this time now for New Zealand regarding the Rugby Championship. Who's your favourite? If I said anyone but South Africa, I'd probably get shot. But now, the penalty, they will go back now for that one. And reset and go again, says Couture. And also we have got the New Zealand A team versus France C team. Says Luke, I wouldn't necessarily call this New Zealand's A team. This is the first time that these players have been the starting lineup for them. A lot of changes. But, you know, it's test match rugby. It's one of the beauties of this game. You get to see countries collide. France, they have more than, I think they've more than enough proven themselves throughout this series that calling them the seaside still seems pretty rough on them, because there are guys out there who are going to be future French stars. We have got their man of the match, Holland, says Ronnie. He's been busy. Karei had a good game, and there were people who wanted to sub him after 10 minutes. It just shows that if you give a guy a little bit more time, he can make the absolute most of them. Karei now playing it off the back goes to McAllister. Big shot on Noah Hotham, who got set up with the hospital pass from his teammate there, Papali'i. So then 1 minute remaining in this contest here for New Zealand. Artie Savia going to be held up almost by France, but getting the knee down. Fabian fell in love with rugby in the Netherlands and asked his father to send him to New Zealand for private schooling. Says Salah there. That's what happens when you send understream sides. Says Godzone there. Now going back across to the right-hand side. McKenzie with the flat ball to Tava Nawai. Now, this game, New Zealand cannot lose from here. They've got 30 seconds left on the clock. So the question is, at 80 minutes, do you kick this ball out or do you try and score once more if you are New Zealand? I would say it's the latter by the looks of the way that they are attacking here. Karei dragged down by Galfiku. Now, Noah Hotham goes to Will Jordan. He hasn't had a very busy game. Hotham almost through. That could have been his knee, though. That was a really bad fall for Hotham, who is slow getting back up to his feet. Looks like Reese for now. Yeah, Hotham stayed down here. Very slow back up to his feet. Still not back as the halfback. And now New Zealand going short side. Hotham trying to roll out of the way. Savia with a pass on the outside. And Will Jordan pops it back to McKenzie, who will knock it on. France kick it out. And that will be the end of the game. 3-0 the series for New Zealand over what has been a valiant French side who, I think, like I said, a bright future coming for this French team. A few of those young guys, Fisher, Savia, I assume that's cramp, or else New Zealand might need another guy, but this does not look good for Noah Hotham, ladies and gentlemen. 79.5 minutes through, he looks like he might have done, I want to say it's not a season ender, but it might be a pretty bad one for Noah Hotham there. All we need now is the box to win later, and the under-20 box to win as well. Says Bruce. And also we have got this French team is going to be hard at home this year, especially with their good players. Says Lamatasi, although I do think that a lot of these guys have booked themselves a spot in that French side. Gilliard, I don't know how they could deny the opportunity. Someone like a Fisher, I think would do extremely well. This was not a win. AB's just got points on the board. Says Hanger, and probably one or two. Says Gluten there. And also New Zealand going to beat the box next. Says Daza. And also we have got there go for the corner. Says more digital media. But yeah, the knock on right at the end. And not yay, sigh of relief. Seaside or not. Says Gideon there. The ABs, with all the changes, still showing a lot of fighting spirit. That impressed me. Says Albert. I actually think that the bench in this game showed much more grit than I think a lot of people gave them credit for. Like Noah Hotham even, making a couple good decisions with those kicks in behind to give New Zealand some nice territory. We saw Geordie Barrett make that try-saving tackle in the corner, as well as setting up with a try assist. Brodie McAllister, the lineouts were shaky for a start, but once he found his rhythm, did manage to score himself a try, and then that scrum seemed to get that a little bit stronger too when we saw Null and Bauer. That exception of the first one when Bauer went down. We're not scared of New Zealand, given what this series has shown. Says LB, well, that is great news because, of course, the Rugby Championship is just around the corner. It's going to be a very entertaining one. You missed my comment, says Connor. I probably did. I think there's about probably... In fact, I can see what the chat rate is on this live stream. And there is a huge amount of messages coming through. There are 35 messages per minute at the moment. So it does make it very difficult to read every single one. We have got the good gimme series for the AB, says Fat7. And also thank for your usual excellent commentary and talk about relief, says Kiwi Cindy. Yeah, I think that France in the first and third match had a lot of New Zealanders nervous. And it probably made New Zealand have to dig a lot deeper than they expected to throughout these July internationals. That second test match, it was a lot more of a convincing win for New Zealand. But the first and third, France pushing the ABs. So we have to see what that means for the Rugby Championship, whether or not they will be ready to go, whether they're battle-hardened, whether they need one or two games to really find their stride. But I think the big concern, once again, from this game is an injury. Noah Hotham, down in the 79th minute. Remember, Amish can read 40 messages a minute. Says, and I might be able to when there isn't the rugby going on at the same time. Great commentary listening in from Thailand, says Jason. So greatly appreciated you being here for this match. The blood of a lot of new guys. This is in the final AB, says Chuck T. And great commentary, many thanks, says Ian. And there as well. And we are already 10 men down, says David. And great job, Kiwi Lad. Time to go night now. The All Blacks won. And France gave it their best, says Michelle. And yeah, this was certainly a test for both of these sides. It could be argued that France has more depth in their rugby than we do. South Africa do too, without question. Bring back the North-South Origin games to harden up our up-and-coming players. I would actually say that, yeah, with France in this game, and the first test, and to a certain extent the second, they showed that there are probably a good 50-plus players in France that could easily make their test side. New Zealand at the moment, I'd say they've got somewhere around 50, but we've got to remember a lot of those guys between the 35 and 50 mark have just really not had a lot of rugby at international level. Like throughout this series, we did see, I believe it was 5 new debuts get the chance for New Zealand though, so that is a massive bonus for Scott Robertson. It's much better to try them out here in the series up against France than it would be for in the Rugby Championship, and trying to get it right in that regard. Appreciate the Mahi Hamish cheers. Says Primitive. And a well done ABs when you're still rebuilding with a young and up-and-coming team of ABs, says Terry. And Hamish, great stuff, bro, says Jeff. And there as well. But yeah, I do appreciate you all very much for tuning in, not just for this game, but also for the whole series between New Zealand and France. There are still plenty more to come. Like I mentioned, New Zealand's next game that they will be having is in around, I believe, 28 days' time, about a month away. And that is going to be for the Rugby Championship. They will be going head-to-head with the Argentines. And that is going to be at 9:10 a.m. on 17th of August for us here in New Zealand. Awesome community. Keep up the good work, says Sean. Thank you very much. Yeah, anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have ticked over 67,200 on this one. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that button. We have got videos coming out throughout the week and also the weeks building up to the Rugby Championship. Once the New Zealand date of the squad is announced, I will also be letting you guys know that, and perhaps even doing a prediction of my own, although it's pretty tricky with the amount of injuries that we have seen to be able to judge that. We have their first test was more worrying since that was the AB's strongest side bar a few injuries. This game, they could be let off the hook a little considering there were over 10 changes from previous weeks, says Spinks. And also thanks for another awesome night, says Tapan. And yeah, be sure to check out that British and Irish Lions versus the Wallabies. That one has taken place in an hour's time, but we are starting our live stream in about 35 minutes. So be sure to check that out. But yeah, thank you all very much for being here. We will have a video. I would say I won't have time to do the review now, but perhaps we'll do a bit of a review tomorrow, looking at who the standouts were and who maybe didn't quite deliver in this contest. Not a great game from the ABs, but still a win. From the Southern Hemisphere, enjoyed your commentary as always. Yeah, this was far from New Zealand's best in this matchup. They made a lot of changes. They had a lot of errors throughout this matchup. And I feel like the saying that still comes to mind is the one how if you play badly and win, that is still the massive bonus. At the end of the day, New Zealand, they made many more errors than they would have liked to in this contest. But to still have that victory and have 3-0 at the end of it, like anything less was going to get them absolutely slaughtered by the media. Let's be honest. Even this scoreline, to a certain extent, they're probably going to get a bit of stick from the media as well. But the fact that they were able to dig deep and really just, put it together for the last 15 or so minutes of the game over, it is currently at 29 points to 19. That's the end score. And this contest, drop goals, win games. Way to go, Ruben Love, says Floyd King. Yeah, that was an interesting decision that they did decide to make when they had turned down the 3 not too long beforehand, then going for a drop goal. In that scenario, Newell played well. He had a decent game. He didn't really have a huge amount of opportunities, just a couple scrums, which New Zealand did get the advantages for. And we have got there also French didn't score in the second half, says no mum. Exactly right. And that is something that New Zealand will be more than happy about, because there have been times throughout this series where France have scored more points in the second half than New Zealand. And 38-hour water fast so far, says Annie. And thanks again for the commentary, says LJA. And if we play badly and win, that means against better teams, we will play badly and lose, says Dennis. Some will look at it that way, but I do also think that if you can take some learnings out of this game for New Zealand, who was the man of the match, says Dennis, I'm not actually 100% sure who they gave it to. I don't think I would have given it to Artie Savia. So, as much as he had a good second half in that crucial turnover, I do think that based off the first half, Holland would have definitely been up there in the running. Brody McAllister, they were showing at the end. I'm not actually sure if they've got the man of the match awarded. I didn't actually see who it was if they did. If Hardy keeps this up, he may be nominated for World Rugby Player of the Year, says Dennis. And worst performance by South Africa even says Sir John Kerwin. About 45-0 win over Italy, says Roger. Well, that's the thing. In some regards, South Africa, they would have been happy with that 45-0, but they also would have felt like they could do a little bit more. And I do think that this game up against Georgia, they are going to show what maybe they didn't quite do right in that second match, but they are getting more and more dangerous as we head towards the Rugby Championship, and that is a very welcome sign for the South Africans, and it will be a big challenge for the other teams as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Like I mentioned, about 30 minutes time until we are going live for the British and Irish Lions versus Wallabies first test match, so be sure to check that one out as well. But thank you all very much for being there, and I will see you all for the next one.